It's EWBSX, the cyberbully. Go ahead, put that Burger King crown on. You've earned it.
You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. We're going to win more.
What's going on, fine people of the internet? Welcome to the Astrolabe, brought to you by yours truly. I am King Pilled. Are you King Pilled? I am King Pilled. We are all King Pilled. I was sitting there watching that We're Gonna Win More clip, and I thought, man, there's people in the background of that. There's real human beings who sat there and witnessed that in person. And little did they know that they were about to be immortalized for all time in the Astrolabe intro. Those got to be some patriots right there, man. What's going on, everybody? How you doing? It is Monday. We are winding down 2025. It is almost 2026. Crazy to think about. I've got, I'm trying to exercise a little bit of discipline here. I probably could have made tonight's show like twice as long as I settled on. I settled on probably half the tabs that I was prepared for. Decided, you know what? I'm just going to have tomorrow's show pretty much put together already. And that meant pushing off the Scott Bessent monetary gain of function policy Fed paper that he wrote earlier this year. So apologies, Mr. Sue. I keep leaving you hanging. You're just gonna have to edge you a little bit longer. You're just gonna have to tolerate that. But got some good stuff. Got some very interesting stuff here. Tonight we're going to talk about this Somali fraud ring. I figured I can't not talk about it. It's like the main thing that everyone's talking about right now, and this one could really have some legs to it. This is even a normie radicalizing sort of story happening. Yeah, who up leering they center right now. So we'll talk about that. Got a few other things related to that. We're also going to watch a couple of clips from this fruitcake Clavicular talking to Michael Knowles. And I just got to say, man, that Michael Knowles, that's a patriot right there. That's a patriot. He's taking one for the team. We're going to watch a couple of clips on that. And then I got some odds and ends things as well. And then tomorrow will be quite good as well. We're going to talk a lot about election fraud. How election fraud is pulled off. We're also going to talk about some interesting AI technology sorts of things. And let's see, what else did I push off? Oh yeah, the Chalaki primer. You heard of Izzat? Well, Chalaki, the concept in Indian culture. roughly translates to shrewd cleverness. We'll talk about that tomorrow. And then also got a little bit of City of London stuff for tomorrow as well. So, and then a great thread here from Kingless Kingdom. I'm gonna signal boost one of our great posters, Mr. Kingless Kingdom. We'll get to all of that tomorrow. But today we're gonna talk about the Somali fraud thing going on in Minnesota. I got a good video here of Scott Adams talking about all the things that had to happen at the same time for us to finally understand the world, and then some things about the DOJ, the actual structure of the DOJ. You know, you hear a lot of people who are like, why don't they just push the fix it button? Why isn't Pam Bondi just doing the automatically make the DOJ work right strategy? And got a little context for you guys on that one. And then some interesting commentary on the Somali fraud issue and what that might portend for the future. So, should be a good one. Should be hopefully not 5 hours. I'm going to try to keep this one under 5 hours, and maybe get you guys out and to bed at a half decent time. Get myself to bed at a half decent time. But shout out to all of you guys for coming through for our great propagandist on Saturday. We did a pseudolabes, one of the greatest pseudolabes of all time. It just I like 10 pseudolabes before. I was like, how is he going to make this better? How is he going to improve on this? And with this last one, I say again, how is he going to improve on this? Combining Conan with Zorro and The Princess Bride, it was just tremendous. The dude is attempting things that nobody would have ever even thought of attempting, and he is executing tremendously. So you guys came through. I did all the tips that came in that stream. Went to the man himself, and at the end of the day, it was $510. We fundraised $510 to compensate our great propagandists. We're buying our own propaganda now. Who needs billionaires? Who needs billionaires when we got rich Labians around here? We are back to usual programming here, and I'll just tell you guys have blown out the tip goal for this month for myself. Not even getting into the stuff you guys did for the SUBHUMAN. But I decided, you know what? We're at $47.96. I totaled up everything from all the different sources. $47.96. If between today and tomorrow, the last two streams of 2025, if between today and tomorrow you guys can get to the extended goal, $5,200. That's basically $200 a day. If you guys do that, then I will give away another yearly subscription to the King Pill Discord. Free yearly subscription to the King Pill Discord. So we'll do the usual routine. If you guys manage to do that between today and tomorrow, then I'll put out the little sign up form. You guys can enter your names for the random drawing. Of course, it has to be people who are not currently in the Discord. I know we'll do it by email address. If there's any that I recognize, then I will pull those out. Obviously, you could use a different email address and get yourself a second one. And if you're already in there, I'm just going to do the honor system here. Just going to trust if you guys are already in there. We got more stuff coming for you guys who are in the Discord. But this will be for people who are not. Give some other guy or girl, I suppose. We got a handful of foids in there. But this will be for people who are not. Give them an opportunity to get in there. So, again, one teal bucks an episode. That's true. Yeah, you guys could just teal bucks it. One an episode, and there you go. That is $200 or more. A tip of $200 or more. Get yourself a little Hava Nagila action. All right, so I think that's all I got for the tips. Link is pinned in the chat. Appreciate you guys. And thank you to Slutty Milk, celebrating a renewal of his subscription here on on Kick for 8 months now. That's crazy. That's crazy. I've been on Kick now for 8 months. It's wild. Also, I think there was... Whoops. I hate it when I do that. There we go. Also, Gaga resubscribed as well. Thank you, Gaga. I don't know if you're listening now. Hava Nathila. See, why didn't I think of that? I didn't think of that because I'm not Slutty Milk. But as soon as he writes Hava Nathila, I'm like, well, duh. Yes, Hava Nathila. That's it's very obvious. Havanagila with the teal bucks. Havanatila. We must study your brain for science, sir. We must acquire it. We must measure its dimensions. We must evaluate its all the different connections and neurons and everything. We have to understand how the slutty milk mind works. As usual now. I am streaming also over on Rumble and on X. So if Kick is not your speed and you want to watch, you can watch on Rumble. So far, we haven't had any copyright issues over on Rumble. No copyright claims. So I don't think I've got 123 followers on the Kick channel. I don't think I'm going to be monetized over there anytime soon. So I don't know if streams are getting demonetized. I could care less. But that is another place that potentially you could use as a re-watching for the replay gang. I know a lot of you guys use YouTube, but you could use Rumble, you could use Substack, you could use YouTube. Sometimes they don't wind up on YouTube. If it's a pseudolabe, it's not going to go on YouTube. But I did stream the pseudolabe to Rumble, and thus far it seems okay. So just so you guys know, and you guys can go follow the channel over there if you want to help me boost the numbers. But thank you to all of you guys. Let's get started off here today with a little bit of, oops, where's my mouse? Hold on, gotta find it. There it is. Let's start off today with a wife jack submission. I've got 3 of them in a row, actually. It's one family. They are Germans, and they sing. A German singing family. No, not that kind of singing. No, but different kind of singing.
Welcome to the Gulag. If you survive, you earn your freedom.
Screwed Up Nevsky with the gifted sub to Ryan Isaac. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate you. We'll do real quick before we get into that. We'll do the other kind of German singing.
Auf der Heide blüht ein kleines Blümelein. Und das heißt Erika.
Colin Ross says you can close the screen on Rumble. It's way better for replay gang. There you go. So if you guys don't pay for YouTube, if you go over to Rumble, Colin Ross, just to make sure, do you pay for Rumble? Do you have Rumble Premium, or does Rumble have background play even without Rumble Premium? That's one of those really gay things that, like, how do you? That's the definition of just charging people for something simply because you can. It's so gay, so stupid that YouTube is that way. Yeah, so there you go. There's another option for you for the replay gang. All right, let's get our German singing family. This I love me a good growly, rumbly bass, and that's what we got here. Father-daughter duet. O come, Emmanuel. Oh, hold on. Instagram is such a twat. I have to manually click the unmute. Like, what? Why would you? Why? When I load the fucking video, presumably I want to hear it. Why do I have to load it and then click the unmute? So stupid.
Welcome to the Oasis.
Yeah.
come to thee.
That last note there, and then the one that he just hits rhythmically for a little bit. I'm pretty sure that's at the bottom or off the bottom of the piano. I can get within, especially if I wake up in the morning, my voice is all growly. I can usually get within, maybe like a low D sharp or E, somewhere in that range, within 5 notes or so of the bottom of the piano. I don't even think I could even dream of getting anywhere close to that. So I feel like it's got to be at least at or below the bottom of the piano. Here's another one. Here's the whole family. Gonna unmute. Actually, I need to. Come on.
Hello.
Your faith was strong, but you needed proof. You saw her blazing on the roof.
Okay, that one wasn't nearly as low. That was pretty well within my range. Then this is the last one. I think it's a longer one of the same.
Strong, but you needed proof. You saw her blazing on the roof. Her beauty and the moonlight overthrew you. She turned you to the kitchen chair, the broken throne, and she cut your hair from your lips. She drew the
Oh, the dude has got a range. I couldn't even talk to interrupt it. No, I couldn't. My voice could not interrupt that. That dude's got an incredible range. He's got to have like somewhere between a 5 and 6 octave range at least. That's beautiful stuff. If you want to go follow the family, what is she? Marie Celestine, Marie_Celestine_ on Instagram. They've got a whole bunch together. Here's a couple others. Ah! Fucking hate Instagram. This man is alternating between high tenor and bottom of the piano.
Open up the door, can you open up the door? I know you said before you can cope with anymore. You told me it was love, said you show me what's in store. I hope it's not for sure. Can you open up the door,
You know, it's funny. She's got a great voice herself, and I'm barely even registering that she's present. Her Instagram handle is Marie_Celestine_, and his is callmemichael.official. That's his. Let's see what he's got here. What's one? Here's one with his parents. If they dropped the audio at the end there because he just blew out the mic. He's got that. He hits some of those low notes where you almost it's low enough that your brain doesn't process it as audio. You almost feel the note, or it's like you recognize there's something that is resolving the chord. There's something that's causing the chord to really resonate, but you listened for where the note should be, and no, I would be able to hear if he was hitting that note, so he must be actually an octave lower. Crazy stuff. I'm gonna see if there was one more here that I wanted to play. K-pop Demon Hunters, Lana Del Rey. As if it's speaking voice. Oh no, it's just pictures. Oh. Yeah, this is a rabbit hole that I could go down for a little while. Just listening to these. That's one of my guilty pleasures, is just sitting here. Yeah, that cosplay had to be done. Count Dooku. One of my guilty pleasures is just sitting here and going down these sorts of rabbit holes. Let's try this one.
In this world, there's no blood, there's no
he's hitting like not like super high like lead vocal tenor notes, but he's probably, I think the highest note that I heard him hit that was probably like an F, maybe, which is pretty difficult for a bass. Kind of reminds me a little bit of what's his name, Jeff Castellucci, in that it kind of sounds as if his natural singing voice is almost like he's a baritone, but he's managed to open up and unlock that basement to his voice that just, for some guys, their natural singing voice is low, but it's not super low. But then once he figures out how to unlock those lower notes, because he's not frying those notes either. That's pure resonant, just vocal folds at their peak. It is beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, Jeff is awesome. Jeff has got an incredible voice. Yeah, they are German. They're like from Germany. I don't know what his ethnic background is. It definitely seems he looks and sounds Slavic of some kind. I could even see maybe Turkish or something along those lines, but that particular Viva Christa Ray says he's got to be Greek Orthodox. That's the only people who practice the Byzantine drone aside from Mongolian throat singing. Yeah. Christopher Lee had metal Christmas albums? All right, hold on a second. I just got to make a note of that. Christopher Lee metal Christmas. Oh, hell yeah. Christopher Lee, a heavy metal Christmas. I know what I'm going to be doing after the show tonight. Emperor Atreides, you are a patriot, sir. Thank you for that. That is something to look forward to. Okay. All right. Now, speaking of music and patriots, look at this fella. 104-year-old World War II veteran, Dominic Critelli. Look at my spagigger. Played the national anthem on the saxophone at the Rangers-Islanders game. This is an Italian World War II veteran playing the saxophone at the Rangers-Islanders game is like the most the most New York thing I've ever heard. They don't make them like this anymore, man. He's got lungs. And watch him hold it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Staff Sergeant Dominic Critelli.
He's still going. What a patriot, man.
Oh, just absolutely fantastic stuff.
That got the crowd going.
The 104-year-old World War II veteran playing, or Rangers and Islanders fans singing in harmony the national anthem. Just fantastic stuff.
Just to have the wind to be able to do that,
He's
Brendan.
still going.
Yeah, I know. At the end, he had those high notes going. They were extended, and that's impressive. No matter
These
how
girls
old you
are-
that's impressive.
The girls there are like trying to help him, and he's like, nope, I'm on my own. I'm doing my own thing. Man, this guy was born when Calvin Coolidge was the president. Calvin Coolidge. This guy remembers the Great Depression. Insane. Okay, now, I played on was it Friday or Saturday or one of the recent lives, I played some of those videos of the haircut videos. And yeah. We're gonna talk about clavicular here in just a second, but you want to talk about mogging and looks maxing? Here you go.
See, don't be on the road too tough, but I still cut you with the local tugs. Could have ran off the plug, but I kept it real and I showed him love. Lil bro got the...
Slutty Muck says, I just saw this on Instagram while following the deep voice guy. Yeah. There's my president right there. My nigga Trump busted for real, no cap. Clavicular could never. Okay, so I got a couple of clips of this. This first one here is him talking briefly about how his, what would you call it? Like his protocol for looking the way that he does. And I got a kick out of Michael Knowles' response here. This is, honestly, this is the segment here. I got a couple of these videos, and for me, my takeaway from this is how much of a frickin' good dude Michael Knowles is.
You smash, like you punch yourself in the face?
Yeah.
If I punch myself in the face, I'm going to get like a nice mewed up jaw?
Yeah, according to Wolf's Law, right?
Do you punch yourself in the face?
Yes.
How hard?
Like reasonably.
Just your fist?
Yeah. I used to use a hammer, but my parents would go into my bathroom and take it away. So that was...
You would hit yourself in the head with a hammer?
Yeah, I know. It sounds a little silly. Like, people are going to think I'm trolling, but this is all, like, on YouTube. Like, you can find this stuff.
I almost don't want to ask, did it work?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, bone smashing's legit. I mean, you even take a look at, like, UFC fighters, like their brow ridge over their career, or x-rays of their shin, and, like, there's massive amounts of hypertrophy in their bones.
Are there any downsides to hitting yourself in the head with a hammer?
No.
I love living in a world where that interaction exists. Are there any downsides to hitting yourself in the face with a hammer? No. Cheeky says, why are they saying he mogged Knowles? So now, here's the thing. There's kind of a generational thing going on here where Clavicular is like the terminally online Zoomer, where the performance art and the actual personality get so blended together that you kind of can't tell which one's which. And shout out to Knowles for trying to take this guy seriously and actually have a serious conversation with him. But what these clips here revealed to me is that he is either it's hard to tell how much he's just leaning into the bit, Clavicular, how much he's just leaning into the bit, and how much he just really isn't equipped to answer that kind of question, just to have this kind of serious conversation in general. You know, this is Michael Knowles is doing outreach to the he's doing outreach to the spiritually dysgenic Zoomers, and I got to give him credit for that, because you'll see in these next couple of clips that Knowles is actually taking him seriously and asking him serious questions. And frankly, it's a little tough for me to tell if Clavicular is just taking the piss, is just doing the, you know, like, you want to have a serious conversation about these issues and everything is so fucked up that I'm not even going to dignify you with a serious conversation. So I'm just going to kind of troll you the whole time. And you're going to be really sincere and earnest and engage with me. And I'm just going to say the most absurd things I can just to sort of make a spectacle out of the whole thing. Or if it's just, you know, the guy has the brain of someone who has hit himself in the head a bunch of times. So Clavicular is he first, I think the first time I've seen him sort of popping onto the radar here for the past couple of months. And there was an incident on, I think it was on Christmas Eve, where he's driving a Cybertruck. And the way the video was presented is he's in a Cybertruck and this guy, like a fan or something, comes and like jumps on top of the truck and is like yelling at him, or like he's like a stalker or something like that. And then Clavicular just accelerates away and runs over him. And everyone's like, oh, you ran over a guy. And then it came out that it was fake. It was the guy he supposedly ran over was just another streamer, and they just staged the whole thing. And everyone was like, oh yeah, so based, you know, he just ran over the guy and just kept going and didn't even care. But he this is what he's gotten famous for, is looks maxing. This is his whole shtick, is looks maxing by hitting himself in the face with a hammer, like punching himself in the face, basically generating so much trauma to his jaw that it develops more bone. He gets the bone hypertrophy like he was talking about, which will give him this like chiseled jaw. Yeah, I had this one next, but I'll just do this now. So Uncle Doomer said, the tragedy of Clavicular is that his entire persona is a fraud. He isn't a looks maxer, he's a face maxer. With subhuman narrow shoulders and inward tilted valgus knees, it's physically impossible for him to overcome his inferior genetics without whole body reconstructive surgery. So, you know, from here up, pretty decent, you know, he's kind of working the shoulders a little bit. Not too bad. And then you see this down below. This is what he looks like from the waist down. So really, he's just face maxing. Now, supposedly, there's a few headlines and stuff I saw that supposedly he's going to get height surgery, like he's going to get his legs extended or whatever. He wants to be 6'6", because he's just, everything is about aesthetics. To me, this is kind of just this is a derivation of the trans world. This is just like, instead of being like dysgenic in the sense of like you need to make yourself look ugly and horrifying, it's like, no, we need to try to do this like Nietzschean Ubermensch sort of, we're going to have like the chiseled jaw and be tall and alpha and Chad and all that sort of thing. But ultimately it's just body dysmorphia. However, he's now become, he's like a Groyper icon, basically, particularly because of this whole interview he did with Michael Knowles, and in particular, this segment here.
This next election cycle, who's going to win? It's going to be Gavin Newsom against J.D. Vance, because J.D. Vance is subhuman and Gavin Newsom mugs.
J.D. Vance is subhuman?
Yeah.
What makes you say that?
He's got a very short total facial width to height ratio. He's obese, very recessed side profile, whereas Newsom is like 6'3" Chad.
So you're JD's very tall. JD's got to be
well, still,
6'2",
I mean,
6'3".
Gavin Newsom obviously mogs him to death.
So you're a
He's also got really small feet.
Newsom head. You prefer Newsom to the vice president.
I'm just telling you who's going to win.
Do you prefer him though?
Honestly, it's hard to say, but Newsom being that much more of a mogger and like having a president who's like fat and especially that young.
You think I don't think he's fat.
I would say
he's a bigger guy for sure.
He's just like, it's just embarrassing. Like, how are you fat and you expect to like lead a country? You can't even be in shape, you know?
So let's say you got a.
This is the vice president who was out training with the SEALs just recently. That one. That's the guy he's talking about.
Vote. It's 2028.
I'm voting for Gavin Newsom.
You're voting for Gavin Newsom.
You can't be that subhuman.
So hold on. You got. All right. Well, this actually is of a thread with the whole conversation because you look at these two candidates. You have Gavin Newsom, worst governor in the country. I think we would all agree. Destroyed his state, let its main city burn to the ground because of his incompetence. Is a personal, complete derelict, liar, degenerate. But he is good looking. I'll grant you that he's good looking, and kind of looks like Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. Hey. And then you have this vice president to President Trump, the transformative right wing president in our lifetimes. Who do you support Trump or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's not gonna support Vance because Vance is fat. Vance can't be president because he's fat. But he likes Trump. It's just I watched probably, I don't know, collectively between a third and a half of this thing with Knowles and just came away honestly not sure whether this guy is actually very, very sharp and he's intentionally playing like a character. He's playing a meathead, and this meathead who's, just obsessed with looks mogging or whatever. Or if he's really just dumb. It's frankly not super clear to me. However, there is, from the little circles that I'm following, this is seen by the Groyper influencer crowd as like their next great advance in the culture wars. Clavicular went on Daily Wire and mogged Michael Knowles by saying that JD Vance is subhuman and he can't be president.
You got this vice president handpicked by Trump, who is extremely intelligent, very right wing. I think he's a pretty good looking guy. I don't know, maybe I guess you disagree, but he's all these things, checks all these boxes, would have all these great policies. And regardless, you're going to pick the pro mass migrant, pro trans, pro murder the babies, pro burn the cities to the ground, pro BLM Democrat because he's skinnier than the conservative vice president.
100 times over. JD Vance, would he be a better candidate and probably closer to me in terms of policy than Gavin Newsom? Yes, but he's just not going to be good enough to be deserving. I think the right has kind of let down the voters for the longest time. So I think
this is part of the reason I wanted to play this is because, and here's where I'm willing to consider the possibility that perhaps this guy is actually doing kind of an elaborate bit. And even if he's not, it sort of does serve as a useful object lesson toward that end. Like this is libertarianism. This is just like, this is the way that libertarianism functions. You get this like super like political purist who just has this arbitrary standard that they pick out. Completely arbitrary. They say everything is reduced down to this one single arbitrary standard. And because the person who's closest to power fails on this particular arbitrary standard that I picked, and I picked that standard precisely because it's one that I could say that he failed, therefore I don't have to engage in the whole thing, and it's all just I'm along for the ride, and everything's just the country's going to hell in a handbasket, and it's the failure of the leadership. He's not political; he's just retarded. Yeah, I think he probably is just retarded. But as Colin Ross says, people like this having influence is a threat to my children. I can respect doing a bit But there's a lot of libertarians, there's a lot of conservatives, there's a lot of serious America First people who will look at this and be like, oh, that guy's so stupid. Like, imagine being like, I'm going to vote for Gavin Newsom because JD Vance is fat. That's so silly. Anyways, Marjorie Taylor Greene is such a hero. And if the Trump administration won't get on board, then I'm going to vote for Ron DeSantis or something. Like, it's the same fucking thing.
I don't really think that right-wingers should just give support to these jesters who continue to underdeliver on their promises. Just let the Democrats win. That's kind of what I'm talking about in terms of just like why I don't support Vance as a voter. But
so you're saying no, they shouldn't vote for any Republican. The right-wingers should not vote for the Republican.
Not until the right actually wants to do the things that they're promising.
So is there a candidate you would prefer? I assume you don't actually want to vote for Newsom. Maybe you do. Maybe you are a Democrat. No. Okay. So then who's a right-winger you want to vote for? Or maybe there isn't one.
No, yeah, there really isn't one. It's
kind of doomer, isn't it? So now you're saying if you're a real hardcore Giga Chad right-winger, you should let the Democrats rape your country.
Well, yeah, you kind of have to. Like, that's the accelerationist mentality. Because, like, look, what is the right going to do other than just, like, a small win here and, like, maybe you overturn Roe v. Wade on, like, a federal level, but abortion is still allowed, like, state to state. So it's like it really doesn't do anything. It's like if these people are just going to, like, continue.
Maybe you deport 2 million people. Maybe
okay, but there's still 28 million more, right? So until these people actually want to make changes that matter, right?
I think 2 million people matters. I think
does it in a country of how many people? Like, what are we?
330 million or so.
Exactly. So it's like this is we're not really making any progress here. So for the RNC to just demand voters to continue to show up for what? Really, it's just that's the cope, right? That's what I'm simply advocating for until like the policies change and like the rhetoric is a little better.
How would the policies change? This is what I'm confused about.
There's, again, I'm going to say this again. There's a lot of people who will look at this guy and be like, oh, he's a retard. He's, we need to just let Democrats win and rape the country. He's readily admitting that. There's a whole bunch of people who will look at that and say, this guy's retarded for admitting that. But then performatively, they will do the exact same thing. They will act in the exact same way as him. They'll just provide a much better, a much more sophisticated explanation for their position. Like something about like maybe ending the Fed or, immigration fails or we just need to, the Republicans want to tank the midterms. So we need to let them so we can flush out all that bad blood and get better Republicans in. We can teach them a lesson. Those people talking in that sort of way are the same as this guy. Even if their explanation, taxation is theft. Thomas Massey, yes. Exact same mentality. That's why I say this guy, I almost wish this guy was doing this as a performance art just to demonstrate the absolute pathological retardation of this whole accelerationist notion. Accelerationism, libertarianism, all of this stuff. No. The only acceptable political theory is complete and undying loyalty to Donald Trump. That is the only acceptable political theory. And when Donald Trump designates a successor, then the only acceptable political theory is complete and undying loyalty to Donald Trump's successor. It's that simple. Trying to come up with all these like elaborate socio-political analyses and no. It's all stupid and gay. You are burdened with you've been burdened with literacy. You should not be literate. You should be a peasant. This guy should be out in the fields hitting himself in the face with rocks while he's harvesting wheat or something like that. That's where he belongs.
Had a Democrat won, it just used this past year. Had a Democrat won, it just used this past year. Had a Democrat won, we would get just judging by Biden's policies, it was Biden's vice president who was running, you would add 3 million illegal aliens to the country. Because Trump won, not only do you not add 3 million, you lose 2 million. So now you have a net change of 5 million potential foreigners who would be in the United States over the course of 1 year. And you're saying, yeah, it's not good enough. Sorry, Brett.
It's not. It really is not good enough.
So what are you doing?
What am I doing?
Yeah.
I'm realizing that society is going one direction, and I'm trying to improve myself as much as possible so that I could succeed financially, so that I can improve my status and improve my quality of life.
But what's very interesting about it is
this is nihilist materialism. That's what all of the libertarian, the America first, all of these sorts of political stances, that anything except for complete and undying loyalty to Donald Trump is individualist horseshit.
By saying, look, not only am I apathetic, I want the Democrats to win because they're going to be bad, because they're going to screw up the country, and then we'll have a revolution, it'll be good again.
Right.
What's interesting about that to me is it reflects something quite real and I think quite understandable, which is the alienation, especially among young men, especially among young right-wing men, from the country that at a very high levels in popular media and government has told that group of people that they suck for like 30 years. That I totally resonate with. So how widespread do you think that alienation is?
I would say that the reason that I have the success I do is because it's almost in every kid my age who in the same demographic, as people are tired of, being banned on social media. People are tired of
being called toxic.
Right. The government not advocating for them whatsoever. So I would say that it's probably more common than not.
Now, I don't know if you guys were watching, if you caught, where was it? Right here. This video is from Red Pill saying, as Michael Knowles he's talking about what has happened to Zoomer men, how they have been disenfranchised, and saying, I'm sympathetic to them being disenfranchised. He gets the most kike-raped slave badge put on him. And here's the other thing, as I was watching the commentary on this, part of the purpose with this sort of thing is specifically to get a good faith interlocutor like Knowles and get him to engage in good faith, specifically so that you can troll him. Specifically so that you can. That's why I'm saying I don't know how much of this is him is Clavicular like sincerely expressing what he thinks, and how much of this is just I'm going to go. It's kind of like the Joker. It's like the Joker mentality. I'm just going to go say and do the most absurd thing because I'm a depressed nihilist. And so then the joke's on him. The joke's on him for actually trying to have a serious conversation. He didn't realize that I just showed up to make fun of him. He was trying to have a serious conversation and engage in me to take me seriously and respect what I had to say, respect my position or whatever. But, the time for dialogue is over. Now it's just time to meme on people. And I understand where that sentiment comes from, but you got to pick a guy that deserves it. Michael Knowles is not the guy. In part because he's way too sharp. He's not vapid. He is way too sharp. He's also just a good dude. There isn't a hostile or malevolent bone in Michael Knowles' body. But this whole aspect of the Groypers is precisely why I have hated them for so long. The chaotic, anarchic, nihilistic thing. Like, these sorts of guys need to be put in camps. They will have to be put in camps. Maybe we call those camps forced military service. But just the fact that the young men like this have been totally disenfranchised, and yeah, they really got screwed over and everything. But if they're gonna turn that into, okay, now I just get to burn everything down. No, you don't get to burn everything down. My children live here. This is the society I want to live in. I want to have a society. This is my country. You're not going to burn my country down just because you got screwed over. What's up, Colin Rosh?
What have I been doing? I've been reading self-help and hitting myself in the face with a hammer.
Right. I mean, like, compared to some things, again, if you look at this as like a performance art, compared to some things, reading self-help books and hitting yourself in the face with a hammer may be more productive. You know, like if you were doing that instead of, going into medical or student debt or something like that, yeah, maybe that was more productive. Maybe it was better that you just hit yourself in the face with a hammer. But a lot of this has been restricted to the internet. It exists, this sort of behavior just sort of exists on the internet and in the forums and the posters and stuff where you do this like super absurd extremist kind of thing. But if it starts working its way out into the real world and starts impacting people outside just the internet, it's going to be a problem that's going to need to be dealt with. There is an authoritarian government coming, and that authoritarian government is going to have to solve the problem of nihilist, anarchic, douchebag young men who have legitimate grievances, but their particular influencer or leadership class that they're following wants to cultivate that spirit, and that's going to have to get nipped in the bud. I don't think that this is an operation per se, but these fucking retards are offering themselves up as useful idiots. Big time. Big time. They're also focused so much. We've lived for so long in a world that does not appreciate aesthetics, that makes a mockery of aesthetics. We need beautiful things. We have to build beautiful things. We have to cultivate beauty in our own lives. But you also can't go so far in the other direction that you turn everything into simply a question of aesthetics. Because then you get stuff like a guy who's frankly just kind of, dorky and dweebish, who hits himself in the jaw a bunch of times with a hammer and decides now he's a gigachad, while he's like all knock-kneed and skips leg day. There's nothing that's like aesthetic about that. He's like a male-to-male tranny. Speaking of, they talk about trannies here. This is the last clip I have of this on this subject.
I just don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to just advocate for your average person to only concern themselves with their own.
To me, that's the big cope. I agree with many of the observations you're making about the society, but the big cope, you heard this with like the libs when they were trying to push the trans stuff and they were upset that some of us were pushing against it. And they said, how does this affect you? You know, you're walking out, it's basically your society is Sodom and Gomorrah. And they say, well, how does it affect you if I decide I want to like castrate little kids in the school and redefine
exactly
marriage and slaughter babies and sacrifice them to Moloch? And how does that affect you? You just mind your own business. And I think, how about I don't mind my own business? How about how about my business is my community and I have a right to enforce standards and norms that are good and traditional and conducive to flourishing? And how about you mind your own business?
But the problem is, you see what you just did there is you spiked your cortisol thinking about transgenders.
Will that max anything on me?
No, that's a very catabolic hormone. So if you're advocating for people to, go around and,
again, literacy is a burden to this guy. This guy is a natural-born ditch digger. He should be out philosophically engaging with the birds and the bunnies while he's digging ditches. Suddenly now, someone taught him what cortisol is, and he thinks, oh, now you can't be concerned about your society because it might be catabolic. Motherfucker, just because you know what catabolic means doesn't mean anybody should listen to what you have to say. Cortisol has a place. It's good to have your cortisol rise. You jack up everyone's cortisol when they look at you.
Concern themselves with these issues, or go to, like school, like board conferences, and like, be outspoken about this. That's just largely going to be unproductive. And, it might seem like a doomer mentality, or like, you're just going to let society go to It's like on an individual level, it's not going to be productive.
But on a political, right. Well, look, it's been productive in as much as, at least the trans thing, there's so many other problems. Well, at least the trans things, though, we've kind of won on that.
Well, the way that I see trannies is like, that's one more person to mug once they brutally butcher themselves transitioning,
But is it, I see that.
Like, go descend yourself. Like, that's fine with me.
Because you're ascending yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to ascend, and this person is going to be a comical botch job, you know? So, like, that just seems like very logical to me. Like, yeah, go be a tranny. Like, now I mug you to death.
Now, isn't... Yeah.
You see what I mean about, like, there's definitely a degree of performance to this. He's working hard to keep a straight face while he's saying this. And I think he knows that what he's saying is absurd, but this is also the absolute state of young men. This nihilism, the spirit of nihilism that is manifesting in a new way. The vengeful son thing that Jason has talked about. This is part of that. This is part of how that manifests. We spent so long trying to get society to pay attention to us, and they all kicked us out. So you know what? All the rest of you can just go burn. We're going to just do our own thing. And it's framed in this very like Nietzschean vitalist, I'm just going to go mog everyone. I'm going to be the based Sigma. But it's just degenerate libertarianism. That's all it is. It's just another form of homosexuality. And it's going to be very, very appealing to a lot of guys. We were having an interesting conversation in the King Pill Discord last week. Nietzsche and nigga who's never done a leg day in his life. We're having a very interesting conversation in the King Pill Discord about how one of the guys suggested that what's coming down the line is basically like a form of Christian Wahhabism, which I thought was a very interesting observation. Particularly, we'll talk a little bit about the City of London stuff tomorrow, and I'll probably bring this back up again. But we're going to get this very vitalist Christianity. If you haven't read Father Seraphim Rose, he lays out exactly the stages of nihilism, how we run through them. And vitalism is very much on the rise. So you're going to get a lot of this stuff that's very surface level, aesthetically presenting as certain things. So like in this case, he's aesthetically presenting as, the like handsome Aryan with like the chiseled jaw. But like, yeah, he punched himself in the face and hit himself in the face with a hammer to give himself that chiseled jaw. But that's not pro. I don't know what the word would be. Progenic. That's still a dysgenic way of giving yourself a chiseled jaw. He's like, like boxers and stuff that get punched in the face. Yeah, they got fucking punched in the face. Getting punched in the face boxing with someone else is very different than punching yourself in the face or hitting yourself in the face with a hammer. You're not earning that chiseled jaw. Because there's nothing that's beneficial or promoting physical health, or you're not putting yourself through some kind of a hardship or a trial by hitting yourself in the face. You're just fucking hitting yourself in the face. So yeah, your body will respond according to the stimulus that you give it, but it's an artificial stimulus. If you want the chiseled jaw, go fucking box people. That's one way to go earn it. So you get this like veneer of aesthetics. You might get a veneer of Christianity, a veneer of masculinity, a veneer of looks maxing. But underneath it is just empty and hollow, and it's another derivation of homosexual libtardism. And there's lots of people who are going to put lots of different veneers on it. But one of the reasons why we truced is because trucing is a very effective shelling point. It's a very effective proxy for falling in line and doing your fucking job. Your job isn't to mog. Your job is to fall in line and do your job in whatever domain it is. Mogging is not a domain. If you, in doing your job, happen to become a mogger, good for you. But pursuing mogging for the sake of mogging is just another form of masturbating. It's just this is gooning with a ribbon attached to it or something. Okay. Here's a guy who is actually doing something productive with his life. This is Nick Shirley. Here is the full 42 minutes of my crew and I exposing Minnesota fraud. This might be my most important work yet. We uncovered over $110 million in one day. Look at the numbers on this. Look at the absolute numbers. 123.2 million. This page just refreshed when I opened it. It was at 122 million when I set the stream up. So in, what has it been? About 2 hours, it's gotten 1.2 million views. After already being at 122 million. This guy here said 80 million views. So this was, when was this? Yesterday? 80 million views. Jack's Twitter would have deleted the video and permanently suspended the account for disinformation before it got to 5 million. Then YouTube and the Zuckerberg apps would have followed suit, and it would be officially labeled as another right-wing conspiracy. Elon buying this app was a game changer. So here is, you guys have heard about this Somali fraud thing going on. This is the origin of the most recent developments. I'm going to throw this on 1 1/4.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. What do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Answer the question. Are there children? There's no children inside this building.
Potentially the largest fraud scandal in U.S. history is taking place in Minnesota, as literally billions of dollars have been funneled through Somali-ran fraudulent businesses. So much fraud, it could actually almost replace the entire GDP of Somalia. These fraudsters have worked hand in hand with the Minnesota government as they enabled billions of dollars to be given to fraudulent businesses underneath welfare purposes. Some of this money eventually landed in the hands of terrorist groups in Somalia like the Al-Shabaab, and others enriched themselves all at the US taxpayers' expense. And in this video we will break down all of the fraud from start to finish and going to the fraudulent businesses and confronting the people who are making millions of dollars from the government. And we will also be confronting the incompetent government leaders who let this fraud happen. And to make this happen, I met up with a man who's been doing his own investigation for years now, as he has seen the fraud firsthand.
Remember when we were talking about adopting a boomer? You got the based boomer over here. He might be Gen X, I don't know, but basically you got a based boomer with the young zoomer. This is a tag team of the century right here.
His own investigation for years now, as he has seen the fraud firsthand. His name is David. Let's get into this and be prepared to be shocked.
How deep is this fraud here inside of Minnesota?
It is far worse than anybody can imagine. You heard it's 7 to 10 billion and maybe more, and now the numbers have been revised and put out there publicly that they think it's more like 8 billion. How I got involved is that where my office is here in Minneapolis, I'm sort of in the heart of all of this fraud, and I would see these childcare centers. I said, well, there aren't any kids there. It's the middle of the day, and all I see are a couple of guys standing out front smoking, and then I'd go by another daycare and I'd see the same thing. I said, well, where do these kids play? And so I started to go online and look, and I said, this place is licensed for 80 children. They had 0 children. Every time I went by there, they never had a single child there. Then
Yeah, Yeah, trust plan, Sar. Be more like this guy and less like Clavicular. This guy is mogging. Of course, the Groypers all think that he is they're all very concerned about him being a Zionist because he went to Israel. You know what? If the Zionists are going to uncover these sorts of fraud rings and publicize them for us like this, then I'm just going to say it. Give me more Zionists.
I started to see all these transportation companies going around, and it was always a Somali driver. And I said, well, that's great. They're out there transportation, contributing, but they never had a passenger, never, ever once. And I said, well, what is all this transportation? What are they doing? So then I found out that in Minnesota, they have something called non-emergency medical transportation. So this is going to the dentist's office, therapy, whatever it might be. And I said, well, how many of these companies are there? And the research came back that there are 1,020 of them, and more than 800 of them are Somali-owned. Nobody from the state of Minnesota ever cross-checks to see if any rides were ever actually provided. All they did was write the check.
So right here we have all this paperwork. And how are you getting all this information about the fraud?
A lot of it is through my own research. And then I have some contacts at the Capitol going back many, many years. And so the data that I'm getting is 100% accurate, coming directly from research done by people at the state Capitol.
All this paperwork right here, what are we looking at?
The areas of fraud that I have numbers for are mostly related to childcare. This is massive fraud that is beyond anyone's imagination, the scope. And so, for example, there's a childcare not far from here in Minneapolis that has two childcares listed at the same address. And together, they're licensed supposedly for 120 children. I have never seen a single child there ever, and I've been by that place at least 100 times.
This is a particular type of guy right here. This dude is an absolute hero. Every community needs a guy like this who's just kind of keeping an eye on what's going on. And when something doesn't seem right, he's like, I'm going to go do the legwork. I'm going to go figure out what's going on behind this. Maybe nobody's listening, nobody's paying attention. Every neighborhood has a guy like this. There is a guy around somewhere. He may have learned a while ago that nobody pays attention, nobody cares. When people ask him what he's up to, he starts to tell them, their eyes glaze over and they don't care anymore. So he may have just stopped trying to tell people about it, but you got to find this guy. You got to find this guy in your neighborhood, and you got to do whatever you can to help him out, whether that means, doing legwork for him or connecting him to someone who can get the word out, any of those things. Slutty Moke said appeal to pragmatism, which again, I'm going to say, you got to be following appeal to pragmatism on Telegram. Just nonstop white pills. You can go to King Pilled on Telegram. Follow the King Pilled channel on Telegram, and I've reposted some of the stuff that absolute patriot has been sharing. But he said appeal to pragmatism made a point that the FBI has always relied on citizen journalists like this guy. So he's doing what we should be doing rather than sitting back and screeching about the FBI. Imagine that. Yeah, the neighborhood watch type mogger. That's right. This is your neighborhood watch mogger right here.
These Somalians, these groups are setting up these daycares, these childcare centers, getting money from the government, but there's no kids.
No kids. Never had any of them. They're all fraught with violations, and even though they have these violations, they're still in operation and they're still getting money. And it's millions of dollars for every one of them every year.
And who's getting the money? And where are they getting the money from?
So we have a thing called CCAP. It's a blend of federal and state money. The bottom line is it's taxpayer money, so it's state money and it's federal money. And the problem is the people at the state of Minnesota are the ones writing the checks. This is kind of the maddening thing is you have daycare, so you have adult daycare, and then you have child care.
Adult daycare.
And a lot of these same names keep coming up on all of these different types of businesses. And then, of course, we have the transportation. A lot of those same names appear, a lot of the same addresses. There's one building that has 14 Somali healthcare companies at the same address. There's another building in St. Paul that has 22 Somali healthcare businesses at the same address.
And the government knows about this?
The government knows. They're writing the checks. Yeah, the Democrats over there just writing the checks. What has happened is that the Somali community is a very closed community.
My wife says, you guys laugh at the church ladies who know all the neighbors and what they're up to until it comes time to know what the Q-tip heads are doing. Q-tip heads is so fucking funny.
They will not speak to anyone outside the community and talk about what's going on within the community. They vote as a block. And so when you're a politician, you're saying, look, I've got 100,000 people in Minnesota that if I do something for the community, they're going to vote for me. And that's what it's all about, is getting the votes. And then the people here in Minnesota, you hear this term, Minnesota nice. I'm so sick of that term. The people here are so afraid of being called a racist or an Islamophobe. And they're afraid of their own shadow. And I don't understand. This is our future generations are going to have to pay for all this fraud. And they just want to bury their heads in the sand and go on and just not worry about it. Tim,
there's still a young mother in Minnesota facing jail time for calling one of these Q-tip heads a nigger when he was messing with her kid. All of this has been going on in the background. That's why that dude's even there in the first place. And she's facing jail time for it.
Wall saying there's organized crime in Minnesota. What did he do about it? Nothing. You got organized crime? What are you doing? This is the Minnesota law, which mandates that anyone who knows of fraud and is a state employee must report that fraud. It's Minnesota Statute 3.971, Subdivision 9. Not only that, but Walls is also guilty of misconduct of a public employee. When I look at the world as a whole and I look at fraud, the Twin Cities is ground zero. The fraud is worse here than anywhere else ever in history. Anywhere.
We're going to go.
Her name is Shiloh Hendricks.
These people. We're going to go to these daycare centers. We're going to see what's actually happening.
Okay, so we have to be careful because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Now, with all of David's evidence, we headed out to the streets of Minneapolis to see how much fraud we could uncover in one afternoon.
Where are we going now?
We're going to a place called Mako Child Care, which actually has another child care registered at the same address called Mini Child Care Center.
So we should see lots of children if there's this child care center, especially if there's two.
The two of them combined are licensed for 120.
And how much money have these child care centers received?
None of those vans had moved in 6 months. None of them. In 2020, one of them received $1.3 million. In 2021, they got $987,000. In 2022, they got $714,000. That's the last I have for that one. And then the other one, $1.604 million in fiscal year 2025. Fiscal year 2024, they got about $800,000, and in fiscal year 2023, they got $904,059. This place right here. Yes.
We're outside of it.
Well, this is actually two daycares are registered here. One of them is Mako, which you see on the sign. The other one is Mini Child Care Center. And between the two of these child care centers, they're pulling in about $3 million a year. And there are no children. Every facility that you go to, the windows will be blocked out so you can't see in. There's nobody here. You won't see a single child at any of these facilities.
There are indeed.
Think about how much fucking money $3 million is. $3 million. Even if I walked past this and it was full of children and someone said, oh yeah, $3 million a year for that place. Shit, if they said $1 million a year for that place, I'd be like, that sounds like money laundering to me. No children at all.
Indeed, no windows. All the windows are blacked out right here. All right, let's go in. And the child care center is locked. Should we ring the doorbell?
Blacked out windows on a child care center. That's weird. What are they doing to the kids in there? Oh, there's no kids. Oh.
Try to get in, ring the doorbell. Nobody showed up. They're open 7 days a week, 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. it says here on their sign, yet there's absolutely nobody here. And this building here, right here, has generated millions of dollars, and it seems like business isn't even open right now, and it's a weekday. And if this was a daycare center, it wouldn't just be in some industrialized building. There would be maybe like a playground or something outside, or...
There's no play area for the kids. So where are the kids? Where's anybody? How can there be nobody here? And it's like this every single day. I've never seen a single child here. In 9 years, I've never seen a single child at this building. Right there.
Oh, then now it looks like we already got the Somalis coming through.
Yeah, they're coming. The word's out.
Hello, is this your daycare?
No. Can you tell us why there are no children? Have you ever seen children at this child care center?
Doesn't know if she's ever seen a child here. All right, let's go to the next location. Now we're going to the next daycare center. How much money has this one generated?
This one, in fiscal year 2025, $1,042,059. In fiscal year 2024, $1,059,078. And in fiscal year 2023, $727,336.
This next one is literally...
Hold on a second here. Licensed for 40 children, $727,000. So... $18,000 a year. $18,000 a year per child. Given the way that childcare costs are, I guess that maybe that doesn't seem like super crazy, but $26,000 a year per child. You want to know why childcare costs are so high? Because of how many of these fucking things are out there. This is just Minnesota. This sort of thing, this sort of racket has to be in every state. There's stuff coming out in Washington State now where this is happening. So there's got to be, if you think about the sheer volume of fraud being pumped through the child care racket, it's not just that the taxpayer dollars have been stolen. Think about how many families are paying for child care because they have to have both parents working to stay afloat. They're putting their kids in childcare, paying wild amounts of money for it because the entire market has been inflated because of this. So all of the money that you see, all of these headlines, all the dollar amounts of these headlines is just barely scratching the surface of how much money has been wrung out of the American people. Even real child care centers are charging way, way more just because of the market effects of this. I guarantee you that's the case. This is why childcare is so expensive. Ilhan said, my lower bound guess for how much fraud there is nationally is approximately 20% of the federal budget, which would mean $1.5 trillion per year, probably much higher. And Peter St. Onge said that he thinks the entire deficit is fraud. Yes, I wouldn't be surprised. The entire deficit, I'm sure, is fraud. There's probably double-digit $1 trillion worth of the U.S. debt that is entirely fraud. Double-digit trillions of dollars. We would be a profitable country with we would have a surplus. Childcare and housing would be affordable. Healthcare would be affordable if it wasn't for fraud.
$27,336.
This next one is literally one block away, and this one's also generated nearly $3 million in the past 3 years. Let's see if there's any children. Let's see if any of the buildings are open. Here we go. All right, we've arrived to ABC Learning Center. All the windows are blacked out. Let's see if anybody is here. This door is locked.
This facility is licensed for 40 children. 0 children. I've come by this place 100 times. I've never seen a child here, ever. The only thing I've ever seen is someone standing outside smoking.
What's crazy about this is that last daycare center is that green building right there. And the other daycare center right now is right here. These buildings should be operating as they're receiving literally millions of dollars.
I knocked on the door, and to my surprise, somebody actually answered the door.
Hello? Can we speak? I would like to check a child in the daycare. Can I speak to a manager?
Why?
Where can I get paperwork to file for my son? I wanted to put my son Joey in daycare.
And after a few questions, the lady went silent.
Looks like little Joey Shirley ain't going to daycare here. And now where are we going?
Now we're going to...
He's got those Ray-Bans filming.
Sweet Angel Childcare.
We're in the middle of a strip mall here inside of this neighborhood.
In fiscal year 2025, this facility, which has its license for 74 kids, was paid $1.26 million in tax money. And there are no kids, and all the facilities are the same way, all of them.
Let's see if anyone opens.
Yeah, let's see.
Once again, I tried to find a spot for my son Joey, and they would not open the door.
I want to put my son Joey in daycare.
This absolute patriot, this old dude is steaming.
Because I need a spot to put my son Joey.
Why?
Yes. Is this your daycare center?
No, it's not. What's happening?
I just want to put a child in daycare, but all the daycare centers seem to be closed. No one's opening the doors.
You work here?
I was, yeah. What's happened?
Where are the kids?
Yeah?
It says it's licensed for 74 children. Right here, state of Minnesota. Where are the kids? They got paid $1.26 million in fiscal year 2025. It says they have a capacity for 74 children.
When?
Where are the kids? Right here. State of Minnesota website. You work here and you don't know?
I don't know. I was there before. I don't know what's going on.
Were there any kids when you worked here?
He's there. Kids there.
How many?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Yeah.
You worked here. Okay, well then you're not of any help.
Can I put my son in a daycare here?
No, I don't know.
Can I speak to someone?
No, I don't know.
No? Yeah, I would like to see if I can put my son Joey here.
Who's your son, Joey?
My son Joey. Can I check out daycare center?
I'm No. You're a liar. I'm the owner.
Do you put your kid here in this daycare?
No.
There is one child in there. Yeah, I'd like to know if this is a legit business.
Me, I'm scared of you too. How come I explain everything?
You're scared of me?
Yeah.
Why?
Because of your curry.
Because of my color. You said you're scared of me because of my color. Does that make you a racist?
Yeah, no.
But you said you're scared of me because of my color.
I'm not saying you're racist.
You said you're scared of me because of my color. That makes you a racist. So right now, they're all getting mad because he's showing the paperwork of this business being registered as a business. 74 children, no children. We saw one child when the lady opened up the door. So now they're all getting mad.
What was this money spent on? 1.26 million. What was that money spent on? There aren't any kids.
Ask the owner and the kids.
Well, then why are you talking for the owner if you're telling me to talk to the owner?
I'm sorry. I'm not understand what you're talking about.
Do you have a child here?
No.
Does anybody? No. Where are the 74 kids? Did you lose them?
Where'd you get
Did
that
you lose
van?
these kids? Do I need to call someone? Do I need to issue an Amber Alert for missing children? Are these children missing? It's not my business that children are missing. 74 infants and toddlers, preschool.
The proof's right there. There's no children anywhere.
It's from the state of Minnesota right here.
I think we're moving on to the next location. Have a good day.
As we continue to show the blatant fraud that was taking.
By the way, you guys should be saying a prayer for this dude. Because he's probably got some 68 IQ gorillas putting a hit out on him.
Place here in Minnesota, Somalis started following us around the city.
And now we're being followed by the Somalis. This is another daycare center, absolutely no signage, and there's no footprints in the snow of children playing outside. $5 million within the past
5.9 million in 2 years. 5.9 million they received in 2 years. That facility right there.
And now we have a group of Somalis telling us in our vehicle right now.
From this daycare center, we headed over to the infamous Quality Learning Center, which actually spells Quality Leering Center on the outside of their sign. That's how blatant this fraud is here at this.
I gotta say, leering for a bunch of Somalis is just too appropriate.
Daycare.
Do they do anything but leer?
Leering Center. I meant to say Quality Learning Center.
Don't open
They
up.
said they spelled learning wrong.
Don't open up.
How do you have ice here, ma'am? I'm literally a YouTuber.
Don't open up.
Ma'am, what do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Don't open up. We have ice.
And what do you think about this place being licensed for 99 children
Don't open up.
and getting $4 million over the
Open up. It's ice.
$4 million in the last 2 years?
Go away.
What do you think about that? Are you in favor?
away.
Are you in favor of that?
Go away.
You know
You're
what
not welcome here.
Are you-
Shame on you.
Are you in favor of $1.9 million going illegally, fraudulently to this business that has Quality Learning Center but can't even spell learning right on the door?
Don't open up.
Ma'am, we are not ICE.
I don't care who you are. You don't belong here.
I belong here just like you belong here.
Don't open up. It's ice.
You do realize that there's supposed to be 99 children here at this building, but there's no one here. This is a child daycare center.
99 children. Paid $1.9 million this year in CCAP funding. Do you know where the children are? Were they kidnapped? Did they run away? Where are the children? This is state of Minnesota. Right here.
And who are you?
My name's Nick Shirley, ma'am.
And who are you with?
Nick Shirley. Nick Shirley on YouTube.
Yeah, so who are you with here?
Oh, he's just been doing some research investigating the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with Nick Shirley.
This lady, she's calling us ICE. We're just trying to put law.
Look at her face.
Taking place here in Minnesota.
Yeah, I'm with Nick Shirley.
You're investigating fraud? Fraud in Minnesota? How dare you? You must be a criminal. How dare you investigate fraud?
This lady, she's calling us ICE. We're just trying to put law and order back in the streets of the United States. Get rid of all the fraud. Have you ever seen children at that daycare center right there?
Where?
Yeah, it's right there. It says the child, you've never seen daycare.
I haven't seen anybody in there.
We're gonna educate you on something. So what do you think about this daycare center? They spelled learning wrong. They've received over $1.9 million this year alone, and they're supposed to have 99 children here.
I don't see it.
99 children.
Have you ever seen any children here?
None, not at all. None.
This year they got 1.9 million. Last year they got 1.5 million of your tax money for 99 children. We just want to know where are the kids?
Right.
Where are the children?
I don't see them. I've been here since 2017. I haven't seen anybody like
Never
that here.
seen a child here.
No, not at all.
And so you've never seen a child here for 8 years?
Nope, not at all.
And how does that make you feel knowing that this place is receiving $1.9 million?
It's disgusting. I mean, what the hell? They stealing the money. That's a federal grant too. That's, you know, if they get caught for that's a federal offense. I know. I studied law.
And do you think Tim Waltz should go to jail for all the fraud that he's enabled here in his state?
That's him doing this? Well, heck yeah. He's got to be held accountable for this. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason what's going on here. It's simple. It's nothing there. It's a parking lot.
And look, they even spelled learning wrong on their sign for a place that's supposed to be educating children.
That's crazy. I mean, who runs it? Who supposedly runs it?
Somalians.
Oh my God. Well, where? Yeah, it's just.
What happens? So my next thought after I see all of this is, what other ethnicities are running other scams equivalent to this? So you've got Somalians running their child care center scams. Let's start totaling up all the scams and all the different ethnicities. Man, oh man, has this just this is the wedge issue that has just busted it all open.
I've never seen nobody here at all.
So how long have you been living here?
Since 2017.
You've never seen a single child walk in that building?
No, not at all.
So this daycare center is literally just a place to traffic money. $1.9 million just this year alone. And this guy's been living here for 8 years and has never seen a single child walk through those doors. There's no windows either.
No.
And the only window they do have, the door, is blacked out.
Yep, I see that. I've never seen anybody go in there.
Within just a few hours, we nearly approached $20 million in fraud, and we headed over to George Floyd's neighborhood to expose more of the fraud taking place.
This place is called Future Leaders Early Learning Center.
The
And
N-word!
it's licensed for 90 children. And in fiscal year 2025, they received $3.6 million. In fiscal year 2024, they received $3 million. So in 2 years, they got $6.67 million, claiming they have 90 children every day of the week, 5 days a week. So let's
These
find
people
out.
are making just about more money than NBA athletes.
And we don't even know if they're paying taxes, but we don't know where this money is going. Is it going to terrorism? Where is it going? But it's theft, it's fraud. And the reason I'm involved is I want it to stop. I care about Minnesota.
So that would be $41,000 a year per child. 3.67 million divided by 90 kids.
I'm doing this for the people of Minnesota. I don't make a dime off all this time I've spent on this. I put my life at risk several times, but I'm determined to see this through and to correct what is wrong, what is evil.
This dude
Here
needs
at
a
Future
fucking
Leaders
medal.
Early Learning Center, this building received over $3 million.
Remember when Ellen DeGenerate got a medal? The Presidential Medal of Honor or whatever from that fucking nigger president? This dude needs the Presidential Medal of Honor.
$1 million. Hello, how are you? I would like to see if I could bring little Joey, my son little Joey here. Is there paperwork or can I check out the daycare? No? Why can't I check out the daycare?
It's not here.
Okay, but if I can't get paperwork or anything to submit my son little Joey to come in here to daycare? We'd really like to put Joey in this daycare. We've heard great things.
Business card?
No, I would like your business card actually.
You talk to your manager.
Okay, can I speak with somebody? Where are the children at? Are there children here today?
No.
No children?
Yeah.
Why are there no children?
There are two of Mexico.
Would my son little Joey have friends to play with here?
No.
No.
Yeah.
No friends for little Joey?
Yes. Sorry.
Ah, dang it. Well, have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
So, little Joey would not be accepted to that daycare.
Joey's still homeless.
Joey's still looking for daycare.
And because little Joey couldn't get into a daycare, we went to an autism center, as they have been popping up everywhere as a rise of autism has occurred here in Minnesota because of the government funds that they're receiving. I tried to check my son Joey into an autism center.
We've been going to a lot of these daycare centers. We're trying to find a spot for our little boy Joey, but we thought maybe we could check him into the autism center because none of the daycare centers are open. Yeah, and how many kids do you guys have at this autism center?
I can't give you a number now.
Like more than 5?
Probably, yeah.
Probably, so you don't really know?
Yeah.
And what do you guys think about
This is the 78 IQ guy.
like the fraud that's been labeled on the autism centers here? What do you guys do think about the fraud, or how come the autism centers are popping up?
I can't
What news? Are you a news reporter?
My name's Nick. We're doing a little documentary trying to find little Joey a spot to put himself in one of these centers here because there's
So why are you asking us about
the fraud. Yeah, because we want to make sure we're going to legit business if we're going to bring our little boy Joey here.
This is not a Joey spot. But that's our number on your other call. But this is a
Cameras.
can't let you guys see. So.
Oh, okay, thank you. So what?
He has that surveillance camera up here. It's interesting the things that they like the last one had like trees painted on the wall. What are these people doing here all day? Like they've gone to some effort to make it look like a daycare center. And they have people who are at them. What are they doing there? Are they like aware of the fact? I mean, you're talking with IQs this low, like aware to them is something completely different. But like, do they even have a sense of the fact that we're running a fake daycare center and just like having fraudulent money siphoned through here, and we're just hanging out, I don't know, like playing video games all day or like I would love to know what's been going on behind the doors. Maybe I don't want to know.
We can't let you guys
Banging their siblings. Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. So once again, little Joey, he can't even go to daycare, and now they won't even accept him if he has autism.
And again, no kids. Couldn't tell you how many kids they serve.
After being able to provide no evidence of them actually being an autism center and a place where a child could go, they shut the door and we headed to the next fraudulent daycare center that was just around the corner.
We're on to the next location. We're still trying to find little Joey a place to go get some daycare.
You know what would be an enlightening thing would be to somehow get the footage. If that surveillance camera is actually hooked up to something, get that footage and find out in the, I don't know, month leading up to an election. Wouldn't it be fascinating to see what's going on inside those buildings in the months leading up to an election? Because I have a pretty good idea what sorts of people are going in and out and what they're doing inside there.
So where we're going now is a place called Super Kids Daycare Center. Interestingly, this daycare center was shut down when it was called Creative Minds Daycare, and it had received $2.45 million this fiscal year, 2025. They had to shut down because there were so many violations, and they went and they just reopened under a new license, and they renamed the center Super Kids Daycare Center, LLC.
So they got shut down, then started another one.
Literally the next day.
Creative Minds Daycare, $2.45 million got sent to this daycare center.
Creative minds indeed. Pale Morning Dude says the daycare that was at my church had a state employee show up every 2 months within a 3-day window. The government is obviously in on it, otherwise they'd be shut down. Yeah, 100%. Definitely.
We have empty parking lot. We do have a bus here. This is different. We'll see if we see anybody.
I knocked on the door. Absolutely nobody was inside. And once again, no children could be heard anywhere.
So David, once again, another child daycare center. We have a bus out here. No one's inside. Licensed for over 50 kids. No children anywhere. But yet millions of dollars every single year.
So the sign says Creative Minds Daycare. They got in so much trouble. They had so many violations that they had to shut down, and they reopened the next day under Super Kids Daycare Center. You see 3801 Portland, 3801 Portland, which is where we are.
So that's fraud right there alone.
Millions and millions of dollars, and again, the kids are missing. Where
they got shut down, they literally just changed the name and opened back up at the exact same address.
The kids.
You'd think if they had the same address, that whoever's inside or working at the Capitol here inside of Minnesota would just say, oh, maybe that's a red flag.
They just write the check. Human Services, they got to clean out the whole bunch. They're the ones who enabled this fraud. How can you not look and say, wait a minute, these two are registered at the same address?
On top of all of the child care centers, that's just only a small piece of the fraud. What other fraud are they committing here in Minnesota?
So another major piece of the fraud is the home healthcare industry. Where we're going now is a building that has 14 Somali-owned home healthcare companies in the same building.
14 of the same healthcare companies in one building.
14 home healthcare companies with different names in the same building.
How bad has Tim Walz managed the budget here inside Minnesota?
So the last biennium, we had an $18 billion surplus. This biennium, we have a $6 billion deficit. That's a $24 billion swing in one biennium. How in the world can you burn through $24 billion in 2 years? This is how, right here. This is a huge part of it.
$24 billion in 2 years in one state.
So would you say a lot of that is fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Absolutely. I would say better than 90% of it is absolute outright fraud.
And a large percentage of this fraud is from these healthcare companies that are charging the state millions of dollars while they actually aren't providing anything. In fact, the FBI just did a raid a few days ago on a building similar to the one we are about to enter. Inside of this building, there were 14 of nearly the exact same businesses offering the exact same services.
Right here, you have a list of all of the healthcare companies. Loads of them right here. We want healthcare.
No, it's okay.
Yes, we'd like to speak about getting healthcare here.
No.
Why can't I get healthcare here?
No, wait.
Warning, you are under video surveillance, no trespassing, security armed. This is the strangest place I've ever been to get healthcare. Just a bunch of different places. Healthcare here, healthcare right here, another healthcare company right here. There are 3 healthcare companies inside of this building right here in this room of 7C. Now we have another Helping Hands, Home Care LLC, another healthcare company. Present Help right here. We're looking for the best rates of healthcare here inside this building because we have so many options. Who can we talk to about getting the best healthcare?
I don't know.
No?
Sorry.
All right. We will not get any healthcare here. David, this is one of the stranger places I've ever been. Literally, healthcare every door you go to, yet nobody will give you a rate. How much money do you think's been funneled through this building?
Every year, I would say 50 to 60 million at least.
And finally, we were
Holy
accepted into one of the daycare centers, and they actually took down information to give us a rate. However, when we left, we were then met with the police.
We received a complaint that someone mentioning your description were in this building harassing the individuals who stay here.
Oh, we're checking out the rates for healthcare. Because there's 14 healthcare companies inside this building, so.
Okay.
Well, that's not what he said. He said there's 14 companies here, and he's trying to assume because they're Somali providers, everyone here is fraudulent.
Okay.
So
he's here with some kind of like propaganda.
No, we're just checking.
No, this is a area that we're allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance. Is there any other reason that you guys are here?
Well, we were checking rates.
No, he's not.
We were checking rates. We asked for rates.
No, you're not.
Okay. I'm gonna have, if you guys are all good, we're gonna step outside and we can continue this conversation.
All right, let's leave. So, all right, we're getting escorted out right now. The police have arrived. We were checking out the rates, seeing what was happening inside of this building. No one would really speak with us. We did go inside the one daycare center, and she actually did give us rates for childcare. Much respect to that lady. What's the problem, officer?
Well, so again, we've been getting reports from multiple individuals that you guys were harassing individuals who work here. At the end of the day, this is private property, and it's one that people are allowed to ask you to leave, and it's also one the Minneapolis Police Department is allowed to enforce trespassing ordinance at this address.
Yeah.
So
as we got escorted out of this building, the Somalis filmed us as we left, and we headed over to the next building that had 22 of the same home health care providers operating from inside of the building.
Right here you have multicultural home care. And right here it says it's open, but can't even get in. Another Reliance Recovery Center. Mercy and Grace Care, Inc. Right here you have Den Eritrean Youth Development Association of Minnesota. Another child care center.
Yeah, even if they had showed the cop the tape of what was going on, like that cop's, he's not going to do anything. He's not capable of doing anything. Even if he wasn't on the take, like if you've ever engaged with a cop who's enforcing trespassing laws, they're literally the only thing they care about is resolve this call and get on to something else. You're never going to get the cop to be like, oh yeah, there's fraud. Well, here, let me go walk around with you and do all of that. It's just, they get called to enforce trespassing laws and they're going to enforce it and then leave. Yeah, Pat Fussy. To be fair, the police are just doing their job. If it's private property, they have to enforce it. Right.
Welcome to Bright Beginning Center. But what do you guys think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
Sorry. No comments. Can I please?
Right here, you have Serenity Quality Care. All of these businesses are literally the same type of business, providing the same service in the same building. Another Convenience Home Healthcare, Aid, Inc., and Child Friendly Space. All these companies get money from the government. Why would you have the same company essentially inside of the same building, door to door? Right here, Queenly Home Healthcare. It just does not make sense. If you were trying to operate a business, you'd want to have less competition. But here, they have all of their competition right next door. We're wondering, because we hear there's lots of fraud taking place here in Minnesota, and we're wondering, why is there so many of the same companies inside of this same building?
No, I don't know that.
What do you think about the fraud that's taking place here in Minnesota?
I don't have any idea about that fraud, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
What do you think about the news articles and what's being spread on the news about the fraud?
Right now, you are doing something wrong.
I'm just asking you
No, you
about
don't
the
have
fraud.
to ask me, okay? Don't ask me that question again.
Okay.
Okay?
Who can I speak to?
Yeah?
Who can I speak to? Okay. As soon as you confront about the fraud, they get angry. When these people have these home healthcare companies, they're seeing them everywhere inside this building. What kind of fraud are they committing?
So there's false documentation being submitted to the state of Minnesota for services never provided. They're having forms signed in advance for
Who are these guys behind him?
services that were then never rendered. As far as a year or 2 years in advance, they'll have someone sign these forms at one sitting, and then they just file those with the state of Minnesota, and nobody from the state of Minnesota bothers to check that those services were ever provided.
So they're essentially just using people saying that they had these services provided months or even years ago, then filing the paperwork and then receiving money from the government.
Right, and the Somali community is a very...
Is that building security or is that their security? Their security, okay.
closed community, so everybody's in on it, and they don't want to talk, as you can see.
And for this building, I'm going to give an estimate of around $30 million for how much fraud is taking place. That is a very low estimate. However, still a lot of money in fraud.
And do you think there is fraud taking place here?
I don't know. Yeah.
Do you have any idea what any of these businesses are doing?
I
Never ask.
And now, with upwards of $100 million in fraud, we headed to one more daycare, and this one gets a little spicy as we get chased out at the very end. And after this, we'll be heading to the state capitol to confront the incompetent government leaders who have enabled this fraud to happen.
And I knew this video was going to be super dangerous to film because of obviously how hostile it is, and as we are exposing legit fraud happening. I did get security for this video, and I was able to do it through the Black Line Guardian. And if you guys want to help fund my security in the future, you can go down to the link down below. They're not paying me to say any of this. They came and decided to help me out for this video. So you can go to Black Line Guardian, the link's down below, and click Guardian for Nick, and those funds will directly go to my security and future videos as we are exposing lots of things happening, especially with this fraud. Like I said, they're not sponsoring this video. I'm just giving them a shout out because of how they helped me. So go down to the link down below, click Guardian for Nick, and let's keep going. And now we're going to the next location. Now, this child daycare center, this one's different than all the other ones we've been to. Tell us about this one.
This one is different because...
Oh, that's a really interesting point, Mr. Sue. Perhaps propping up commercial real estate as well. Yes. Yeah, that's a really, really good observation. That volume of money flowing through those sorts of places is absolutely, especially if you multiply this over, like, it's not just childcare, it's not just healthcare. There's a bunch of other industries that have this sort of thing going on. That's absolutely part of what's happening. Good call.
According to the state of Minnesota, this 312 West Lake Street houses not one, not two, but three child care centers and is licensed to hold 102 children, and in fiscal year 2025 was paid $2.66 million by the state of Minnesota.
And this is the building right here. So this building alone made $2.6 million. Let's see if anybody's inside. Now we're inside of the building where there's apparently 4 childcare centers.
We met this lady and we followed her to the back of the building where the daycare was supposedly at.
So right here we have 2 child daycare centers. We have the Minnesota Child Care Center, and then we also have Nuna. Between the two, $2.66 million. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Why are you recording?
Yes. We would like to know.
Well, it says we're trying to figure out 102 children. Is that for this facility?
What is the name? Why is it
It's from the state of Minnesota website. It says you have 102 children here in your child care.
Which child care name is a lot of
Minnesota Child Care right here. It's from the state of Minnesota's website. We're just wondering where the children are.
Where the children are?
Yeah, where are the children? It says you have 102 children here, and you got $2.66 million this year in funding, and $2.5 million last year. We're just wondering where the kids are.
And who are you?
My name's Nick Shirley.
Nick Shirley.
And where are you? Which department?
Oh, we are from ourselves.
Yeah.
Hello, we'd like to ask where the money's going. Look at that. Shut us down. Where are the children at? No children inside of this daycare center. And look at this daycare center right here. No children inside of this daycare center. But between those buildings, over $2.6 million. We were just curious, where are the children?
Emperor Trades says, my uncle owns a shit ton of rental properties and lofts, apartment buildings. He claims that immigrants that come from a country with no credit score system get perfect credit when they come here. Very interesting. Totally not surprised, which does remind me, what was it? Was it, I'm trying to remember which agency. Was it USCIS? Slutty Milk, you might remember this. One of the government agencies, they announced recently basically that they're requiring a lot more data on, they like part of the immigration standard is going to include having to provide basically a bunch of data that most of these third world countries don't even track or wouldn't even have the records for.
Children at? Do you know where the children are at? No. Where are the children at in these daycare centers?
I don't care.
How can these childcare centers have no children?
I don't know. No.
There's $2.6 million inside these businesses that were given by the government, but there's no children to be seen anywhere. People deserve to know where their taxes are going. If these companies and these daycare centers are making upwards of $2.6 million and there's no children to be seen anywhere, something fraudulent is happening. And that is not making you racist, Islamophobic. This is just the truth of what's happening here in Minnesota. If there's a bunch of white people doing the same thing, we'd be talking about the same issue. This is just fraud at unprecedented levels here inside Minnesota. It's actually very concerning. Where are the children at inside of these buildings? They're nowhere to be seen. Millions of dollars are being sent into these daycare centers all across Minnesota, and there's no.
Yeah, Viva Christos says, I bet we could investigate and find out that credit card companies were getting paid to give illegals perfect credit scores. Yeah, man, like, so if you've got, it's propping up the commercial real estate market, which means then now you're getting banks involved in it, the loans that they're issuing, credit card companies. Once you start pulling on these threads, jeez, shit's gonna come unwound pretty fast.
not a child to be seen anywhere. Here's another daycare center inside the same building.
We don't want you to be videotaping anything.
Where is all the money going for if there's no children at these daycare centers?
Sir,
Yes.
I told you, please leave.
Yes, we have a question though. Where is
No,
the
you
children at these
leave.
daycare centers if there's millions of dollars?
Ask me the local government, yeah.
Oh, we've
Get
asked.
the
We have the paper
fuck
here.
out of the country.
So we're wondering where the money and where the children are at. We have the paper right here. Come here.
Who are you, first of all?
My name's Nick Shirley.
You don't have any permission to record me, period.
Can we talk
you
outside?
You don't have permission to record.
She doesn't either have.
You
She
do
doesn't
not
have permission to record
no,
me.
you cannot stop people on the street and question them.
We can ask.
You don't
where,
have any permission.
Where
I'll
are the
sue
children?
You. I will sue you. You don't have any permission. We have nothing to do with this. You
Okay.
understand?
Then are there
So
children?
leave. Please leave.
Are there children here?
Please leave.
Where are the children? $2.6 million for a daycare center.
You ask whoever you think is doing that. You don't know what you're talking about. So leave. Leave.
Tell us what's happening here then.
I said leave.
We're wondering what's
We
happening.
are not a child care. We are nothing to do with it. We're common people walking. And
Yes.
You are.
We're not accusing you. We're asking where the children are at.
Don't ask me anything.
We're not
I'm
accusing
gonna
you.
answer.
We're asking the daycare centers.
I am not going to answer. You have.
Where are the children at?
Leave. Leave.
We just want to know where are the children.
Who you work for?
My name's Nick Shirley.
Who do you work for?
I work for myself, Nick Shirley.
Okay. What are you recording?
We're wondering where are the children? $2.66 million for
You're not talking
the
to
Minnesota
the right person.
Child Care Center.
You're not talking to the right person.
Are there children that come here? Answer
You're
the
not
question.
talking
Are
to
there
the right
children?
person. Leave.
There's no children inside this
You
building.
don't know who you're talking to. Leave.
That's just a simple question. Where are the children at? David, they won't even answer. We asked him. Plain and simple. Where are the children? Do children come here?
This is why I've had my life. I've been attacked twice. Once with a knife, and the other time I was jumped last Saturday by 3 Somali men simply for asking questions about what was going on. And they're very, very violent people. They do not like this fraud to be exposed.
After giving this man plenty of opportunities to answer the simple question, where are the children, he called the cops on us and we headed to the state capitol where they're having a meeting about
that
the fraud to
fucking
confront
ugly
the
flag.
state representatives and people in the government who have enabled and let this fraud happen. Inside of this committee, a Republican representative showed charts showing exactly how this fraud has been committed and who is profiting and connecting all the dots. And while this fraud has been committed and who is profiting.
African Mineral Company. Restaurant visited by undercover state agents. NEMT, adult daycare. What else do we have here? Real estate brokerage. Several realtors run healthcare companies. So did they get to like they got the 88 IQ Somalis to be their realtors who also run healthcare companies. Oh. So P1. I wonder what the P and the R stand for. Is this person? Man.
And connecting all the dots. And while the Democrat representatives looked into the abyss, one of them spoke about how none of this is building trust and how this is a nonpartisan issue. So I went and confronted her after that.
He has some very valid questions to ask about what's going on here in Minnesota. And do you think this fraud
I don't know who
crosses?
you are.
My name is Nick Shirley. Do you think this fraud is Republican or Democrat, or just facts that fraud is happening? Because that's what I heard you talking about.
I know what I said is that
because
what we're talking about
we want to build trust, but fraud is fraud. So why should we be enabling fraud to happen here?
No, I don't think anybody is enabling fraud to happen.
Hold Governor Walz accountable for this.
Okay, sir.
No. This is not.
Sir.
When are you going to hold Governor Walz? No. She is a representative for the state.
Oh, look at
Yes,
my
no.
African American over
Yes,
here.
If you're going to talk to me
Are
like
you going
that,
to say to her, I'm a disability advocate?
I heard you, and
get
we've actually
overstimulated.
to testify.
No.
Ma'am, the facts are the facts.
I
that
get
fraud is happening here,
overstimulated.
and it's not a nonpartisan issue. How come you think fraud has been able to happen so much underneath
I think
the
if you've
government
been
here?
listening to our hearings, we've had now 10 hearings on this. And so there's really good data from the people who both work within the administration as well as who, both Democrat and Republicans. I think what you heard today.
I'd really like to know that African Mineral Company. I'd like to know what country in Africa that is. Because I know that the Soros network is deeply embedded in South Sudan. I'm sure they're in a lot of other places. But I just searched African Mineral Company, if that's like the actual name of it. Let me do throw the quotes on this. I don't know if the name is African Mineral Company or if it's just an African Mineral Company. African Mineral Company. Cayman Islands. There's something called African Mineral Company in the Cayman Islands. Yeah, no details on that. Looks like there's another one. There's multiple African mineral companies in the Cayman Islands. Those would all be like City of London proxies. The African Mineral Company, what's this here? Former insurance broker Ernest Bai-Koroma mysteriously took the mantle of the state with a hidden agenda. Former APC president. This is Sierra Leone. I'd be curious to know what that African Mineral Company thing is all about. Maybe I'll dig into that a little later.
Is that the Republicans who control this committee are not actually interested in solving fraud. What they're interested in is telling a story.
This fraud has happened underneath Democrat leader Tim Walz.
There has been Medicaid fraud across the country under Democrats and Republicans. There's fraud within the Trump administration. We have is fraud. Private providers have made government a mark. And so every person running government, Democrats or Republicans, are dealing with the issue of how to keep fraudsters out of our public payment. We're also dealing with veterans. We're dealing with consumers. I hope you're looking at that. If you look at United Health, currently is being charged with defrauding Medicare. You know who runs Medicare? President Trump. Medicaid fraud is a 50-state issue. And so, again...
You know who runs Medicare? President Trump. All of this fraud that's been going on for years and years, it's Trump's fault.
It is not a partisan issue. There are Democrats and Republicans who are sitting in that committee talking about it. But what you did here was the Republican chair say she's not turning information over to the one person in government who can stop payment. And I hope you print that. Thank you for coming today.
Okay. Well, saw what happened there.
The state of Minnesota that we live in, and these politicians are just walking off, thinking it's okay Tuesday, and they want to go visit the Trump. They want to blame the Trump administration. We have Democrats blaming ICE. I'm tired. My people are suffering. I'm scared for my little brother. My people are suffering, and these people just walk off. We have a governor who fucking doesn't care.
This guy's...
How many more people are gonna freaking die? How many more people are gonna go homeless? And how many more people are gonna be trafficked in our freaking system?
What a guy. Incredible. Shout out to Nick Shirley. Okay, so this is Greg Price. This is from a 2018 Minnesota criminal prosecution against Somali daycare fraudsters. In the surveillance video, Somali parents would take their kids to the daycare, check them in, and then leave with them moments later. The owners of the daycare would then bill the state for a full day of childcare and give the parents kickback payments for being in on the fraud.
Order for the scheme to work, the daycare centers need to sign up low-income families that qualify for child care assistance funding. These surveillance videos are from a case prosecuted by Hennepin County. They show parents checking their kids into a center only to leave with them a few minutes later. Sometimes no children would show up. But either way, the center would bill the state for a full day of child care. This video from that same case shows a man handing out envelopes of what are believed to be kickback payments to parents who are in on the fraud.
Where was the money going? I don't know exactly where it went, but it...
Order for the scheme to work.
Okay, now. Whoops, got a little ahead of myself there. I need to run take a leak real quick, and then I've got a few more things on the Somali fraud stuff and Tim Walz's involvement in it, as well as a handful of other things. So we'll get into that here as soon as I get back. Let me just give you a little massive attack for a minute.
Love is a verb.
your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I'll barbecue your ass flat. I will cook your ass up so fast, and I'll tell them, oh, I killed a cow out back, baby. You think Christ would eat somebody? He would never do that. I will. I'm ready to hang them up, gut them and skin them and chop them up. You know what? I'm ready. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. That's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass first. I swear to God, if it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna get my hands around your throat.
Okay, I saw the demands for leftist ass eating, so I am a man of the people. I had to deliver. Check this out. So, it's been revealed that the phone number for Minnesota's Sweet Angel Child Care goes directly to the office of Governor Tim Walz. So one of those places that he visited, Sweet Angel Child Care, was the place where the phone number for it goes to Tim Walz's office. It has been removed from the Sweet Angel Child Care business listing, but no new phone number was provided. Not only do they not have a real registered number, but according to their very public Minnesota DHS license renewal reviews, as of December 4th, 2025, they had hazardous objects accessible to children. Children had no access to hygiene, no hand washing station, no CPR or first aid training. In 2024, no immunization documentation, no emergency preparedness plans, furniture is not in good repair, the rugs are in bad condition, no child supervision, hazardous objects again visible, dietary plans not obtained, infant diaper and feeding stations non-existent, and no risk reduction plan. These violations have continued to be repeated since 2022 and are publicly visible on the Minnesota DHS site. DHS is the Department of Health Services. This business not only is still in business, but is also receiving taxpayer-paid investment funds from the state of Minnesota. Now multiply this by hundreds of other similar locations. Yes, also children non-existent. So, literally, the phone number for one of the places goes to Tim Walz's office. And then there's this. James O'Keefe has previously caught Ilhan Omar's team running a Somali ballot harvest operation in Minnesota in exchange for cash.
Project Veritas has received an explosive piece of tape. The tape you're about to see shows a man buying a registration form for an absentee ballot from a voter, giving him, quote, pocket money, unquote, of $200 and expecting to collect his ballot when the voter receives it.
So this is how you fill out the voter registration form. Put your first name, last name, address, and telephone number. ID number or the last four digits of your social security number. After that, you'll sign it. That's all. Tonight we will close the deal. Okay? Now take this money for your pocket change. Okay, fine. When I fill it out, I'll bring it to you. In another tape, a ballot harvester admits to being paid $800 for his ballot.
That's illegal, why? We don't get illegal. How much are you?
I was given money so I would vote. How much? $800. Our investigation has exposed a pay-to-vote scheme in Minnesota. It looks like
She's
Congressman Ilhan Omar may be connected.
One who came up with all this.
So she did it. She started this whole thing with the pay to vote.
Yeah.
So the people that work for Ilhan are actually counting the ballots, counting the vote.
And they become a manager in the prison too.
They, being Ilhan Omar's campaign staffers, can become precinct managers. If you don't have an absentee ballot, the ballot harvesters vote for you in the polling booth under the guise of being translators.
They walk with you to the booth, and then they vote. Oh, vote this guy, vote this guy, vote this guy. Vote even if you speak English.
This guy admits to paying Al-Shabaab, which has close ties to Al-Qaeda. Sources say Ilhan Omar's biggest financier is behind her pay-for-vote scheme and is pulling strings to defund Israel.
The reason she's fighting for Palestine is because of this guy. So it's all about money and power, and they want her to defend Israel, man.
Well, if they want her to defund Israel, then maybe we need to reconsider this. You know, maybe Ilhan Omar and her whole Somali fraud scheme, maybe this is actually really in our interests, because if we're truly committed anti-Zionists, and if the Israel issue is the biggest issue and everything else pales in comparison to it, then maybe we actually need to be defrauded. Maybe our nation needs to be defrauded to the tunes of trillions of dollars a year so that we can get people like Ilhan Omar to work on defunding Israel. That's how this all works, right? Tim Walz's new taxpayer funded 20 paid weeks off for family bonding for Somalis and illegals, etc., includes a workaround that doesn't require the person to have a job in order to collect the funds. Per a veteran Minnesota lawmaker, the way the law is written, there is a workaround where you can collect this benefit without actually having a job. This new welfare program goes into effect on January 1.
Tim Walz has, your fantastic governor out there, the retard. We'll get into all the people driving by his house later. But right now, a little bit ago, it wasn't just announced, but this was recently announced, and it goes into effect in 3 days, that taxpayers, as if they don't give enough money to the Somalis in Minnesota at this point, will now be funding family and medical leave to give Somalis and other illegals up to 20 paid weeks off per year to bond with their child. Clip number 9, guys.
Insurance program for you that allows you, again, to take care of what you need to take care of without being forced to choose between your family, your bonding with your child, your own health, and your economic well-being. Because in Minnesota, you can do both, and we prove that time and time again.
In Minnesota, you can do both. I mean, I guess on the plus side here, these Somalis don't work anyway, so I guess they don't need 20 paid weeks off per year. They get 52 paid weeks off per year.
I have really bad news for you.
So true.
Oh, no.
A state legislator, a former state legislator, had voiced to me that based on the way the law is written, you might not actually need a job to qualify for the program.
You've got to be kidding.
I know that sounds crazy. I can't tell you the exact details of that but this lawmaker who has been in there for well over a decade, who is now out at this point, but I'm going to actually go over with him a little bit more detail and him describe it to me. But he says the way the law is written, there is a workaround where you can collect this benefit without actually having a job.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't be shocked by this. I should not be surprised. This is Tim Walz in Minnesota we're talking about. I should not be surprised by this development. But man, at what point do you say we need to? I'm sorry, like you say, it's a beautiful state, man. But I'm tired of paying for it, okay? I want the federal funds cut off to Minnesota until we get a handle on this. Are people in Minnesota, the Patriot that we were talking about earlier, are these people like, are they ready to stand up against this guy and say, you know what, we've had enough, we're done, and we need to like flip this government on its head out there?
Oh, no, completely. And honestly, and I can tell you, like, the White House has been doing polling on this state for the upcoming midterms, and they are very, very bullish on the opportunity in front of us. We have several great candidates across multiple different offices coming in here, and they believe this fraud issue is going to be a major wedge going into it because, quite frankly, in 2022, the last midterms, we came within 1 percentage point of winning 2 different offices, the AG's office as well as the state auditor, 2 offices that very in particular were heavy on this fraud issue last time, but it just didn't have this level of sunlight on it. If you add now this variable to it, I guarantee you we're going to win Attorney General. We have a very good bullish shot at the governor's office and even the U.S. Senate seat if we have a candidate here jumping in soon. We're very bullish on the opportunities and also the activist base. CC, our convention here with the top delegates in the state, was completely packed and overflowing with alternates. I mean, people are fired up to fire Tim Walz, and yes, they are ready to stand up. There is no question about it.
Now, here's the thing. Voting them out is probably the fast way to resolve this issue. The DOJ has already been investigating this for a while, and I guarantee you something this well entrenched has plenty of, plenty of federal cover being run for it. The DOJ tweeted, "We have charged 98 individuals in relation to fraud in Minnesota. More than 60 have pled guilty or been convicted. More to come." Pam Bondi said, "Minnesota fraud. Nick Shirley's work has helped show Americans the scale of fraud in Tim Walz's Minnesota. The Justice Department has been investigating this for months. So far, we have charged 98 individuals, 85 of Somali descent, and more than 60 have been found guilty in court. We have more prosecutions coming. Buckle up, lawmakers." Which is an interesting thing to say here. More prosecutions coming. Buckle up, lawmakers. Why do the lawmakers need to buckle up? I'm incredibly grateful to our U.S. Attorney General Daniel Rosen and DM News for their dedicated and ongoing work to uncover this fraud and build strong cases against its perpetrators. Here are a few examples of the cases we have prosecuted with other federal partners like Scott Bessent. Scam 1, Feeding Our Future, the largest COVID-19 fraud case charged in the country. Claimed to have served children millions of free meals during COVID. Few, if any, were ever fed. Submitted fake invoices and fake rosters of kids purportedly receiving meals. 78 defendants charged to date, 57 defendants convicted. 72 of the defendants are of Somalian descent, 5 defendants are currently fugitives in Africa. Millions of taxpayer dollars in fraud proceeds were sent overseas to East Africa and the Middle East. Ultimate price tag, $300 to $400 million. In August, we successfully secured the conviction of the Feeding Our Future scheme leader, Star Wars name. He was sentenced to 28 years in prison in order to pay over $47 million in restitution. Just last month, we sentenced other Star Wars name, another key player in the Feeding Our Future scheme, to 10 years in federal prison and ordered him to pay millions in restitution. And the crimes don't end there. Scam number 2 is juror bribery. Not unlike what you would see in the corrupt Somali judicial system, defendants in the Feeding Our Future case intimidated a cooperating defendant and attempted to bribe jurors. 3 defendants delivered a bag containing $120,000 in cash to a juror's house the night before closing arguments. They promised more money if the juror voted to acquit all 7 trial defendants. They offered this argument: "We are immigrants. They don't respect or care about us." I never want to see an immigrant again. 0 immigrants. Just get rid of all of them. According to the defendants, the government kept attacking Somali culture and was very racist. Scam 3, autism treatment Medicaid scheme. Many defendants from the Feeding Our Future scam also set up fake autism clinics. We've talked about this before. The state government underwriting the scam was supposed to cost $20 million. The state government program. Somehow it ballooned to $200 million at taxpayers' expense. Scam 4, Medicaid fraud. Fraudsters identified Minnesota's medication coverage program for housing stabilization services, a program meant to help people with disabilities, senior citizens, and people with mental illnesses. Then they started sham LLCs and began signing up drug addicts and others in halfway houses for services that were never provided. The program was supposed to cost $2.6 million per year. It exploded to $125 million per year. We're working hand in hand with partners like Scott Bessent, Secretary Noem, Scott Turner from HUD, and what is this, Labor Secretary? Yeah. Lori Chavez, I can't remember her last name, to continue unraveling this scheme. We'll continue charging and convicting those behind it. Thank you to Nick Shirley and local media in Minnesota for doing the kind of journalism that so many outlets used to do. The people of Minnesota deserve better. So there's also now, following the exposure of millions in fraud at Somali-run care centers in Minnesota, similar concerns are now surfacing in Washington state, where 539 of about 5,000 licensed care centers are Somali-run, many lacking a physical address. A care center without a physical address. Elon boosted it. Look at this. Star Wars name after Star Wars name after Star Wars name. Virtually all of these have, that one had a physical address. That one doesn't. That one doesn't. That one doesn't. Hey, that one does. That one doesn't. That one doesn't. That one does. This is Renton. A lot of these here, Renton and Kent, are in, there's a lot of in SeaTac, there's a lot of industrial parks in that area. I used to work in Kent. 4104th South 220th. I worked on South 216th. This is an industrial park. I know exactly where this is. Nuras Family Childcare. This is an industrial park. Another Kent. Des Moines, similar. Auburn, Seattle. These are all on the south side of Seattle, between Seattle and Tacoma. Between Seattle and Tacoma. Federal Way, Southwest 354th. Good chance that that's industrial as well. This is all the exact same thing. I guarantee you. Every one of these. 132nd place. That's also right near an industrial park. Federal Way. Yeah, these, I guarantee you, this is all the exact same thing happening. Yeah, Don Treader, people have been charged and convicted. I was reliably informed the admin was doing nothing. See, this is the thing. Is this the point where I have that? I'm going to... Let me get to this part here now. And then I've got some more. So Shipwreck Crew, who used to be, I believe, a district attorney. He used to work in the DOJ. And he's a total... he's like a total boomer. But there's good... This is like the inside look here. There is a fundamental lack of understanding about the job of Attorney General and the enormous size of the Department of Justice. There are two main components of DOJ, both of which fall under the authority of the Attorney General. There are 94 U.S. Attorney offices, one in each federal judicial district. Main Justice in Washington, D.C., made up of 8 major divisions. You have national security, criminal, civil, civil rights, tax, antitrust, environment, and natural resources, and justice management. The 93 U.S. attorneys' offices have approximately 6,500 assistant U.S. attorneys, line prosecutors, and federal courtrooms before approximately 700 federal district judges every day. The AUSAs handle a large majority of all criminal prosecutions and a significant volume of civil litigation where the U.S. is a plaintiff or a defendant. Main Justice's divisions have another 3,200 trial attorneys, ranging from 200 in the National Security Division to more than 1,000 in the Civil Division. Each division has multiple sections where expertise is further refined. Civil rights has sections involving criminal, voting rights, disability rights, education, employment and employee rights litigation, housing enforcement, immigrant rights, and special litigation that deals with state and local law enforcement issues. There are thousands of civil lawsuits pending on any given day. There are tens of thousands of criminal cases filed or under investigation every single day. There are 70 different federal law enforcement agencies across all executive branch cabinet departments who can refer criminal matters to DOJ for prosecution. This work does not all stop and start over again from scratch with a change in administrations, such that the new AG can decide on day one what gets continued and what gets ended. Nearly all of it must be continued. The staffing only changes at the margins. New supervisors get promoted by the DOJ attorneys. Largely carry over from one admin to the next because the work doesn't change. So new supervisors get promoted. So, okay, basically they largely carry over from one admin to the next. The priorities might change, but nearly all the ongoing work is continued. I went through a change in parties in the White House 3 times. Bush 41 to Clinton, Clinton to Bush 43, Bush 43 to Obama. Leadership changed, enforcement priorities were reorganized, but most of the work was the same. AG Bondi and the Trump admin have suffered through an unprecedented turnover in attorney staff. In some divisions, such as civil rights, which is the most politically sensitive, the resignation/termination rate was 2/3 or greater. DOJ is, like how he says, they've suffered through unprecedented turnover. DOJ is a huge freighter in the ocean with a massive cargo it carries every day. It's not a speedboat where the person at the controls can turn it around simply by jerking on the wheel. The Associate Attorney General, the number 3 post in DOJ, wasn't confirmed until after the government shutdown. The number 3 at the DOJ wasn't confirmed until like a month ago. Only 4 of 15 assistant attorney generals were confirmed prior to the government shutdown. These positions run each of the 8 litigation divisions and a handful of other key offices in DOJ. Office of Legal Counsel, Office of Legislative Affairs, etc. Only 2 out of 93 U.S. attorneys were confirmed prior to the government shutdown. 2 out of 93. Who is responsible for confirming U.S. attorneys? Tell me. If only 2 out of 93 were confirmed prior to the government shutdown, whose responsibility is that? That number is now up to 31. The social media influencers blaming Pam Bondi because the little projects most important to them aren't getting the attention they think is deserved are largely ignorant about the complexity of the task Pam Bondi took on. Their gripes are more about fattening their checking accounts with X revenue sharing than anything actually substantive. This is exactly what I've been saying. Everybody's living in the Saturday morning cartoon world where you get elected and you just like, because it's written in the script that now is when this thing happens, then it should just magically start happening. And if it's not happening, that's because someone is subverting. It just fire the attorney general. What we actually need is we need to have another confirmation process. We need to fire the attorney general, appoint a new one, and wait on the Senate to confirm that new one. That's what's going to really get things going. You fucking morons. Absolute. The burden of literacy. Once again. Yes, we could put Matt Gaetz in there and nothing would change. This is the state of the Department of Justice. This is the only Department of Justice that we have. There is no end running the Department of Justice. If you want prosecutions, if you want people to go to jail, this is what it takes. If you think the entire world needs to stop until the person you're particularly mad at goes to jail, you need to grapple with this. Fucking Marjorie Taylor Greene, Trump is talking about Ukraine, Russia again. Why can't we just focus on America? So literally the entire world just needs to grind to a halt so that the president can focus on your pet issue. You fucking traitor.
The only acceptable political theory is complete undying loyalty to Donald Trump.
This is why I play that clip. This right here. All this panic and doomer shit. This is people for whom politics commentary is a hobby. And they think they matter. They don't. They need to be digging ditches. I fully endorse, under the great Emperor Vance, head of the Trumpenreich, I fully endorse any panicans having their access to the internet revoked and being forced into mandatory labor. Politics is just too much for you guys. Not my beloved Labians. Talking about these fucking doom faggots. Politics is too much for you. You can't handle it. You're literally not cognitively equipped for it. All you can do is just emote on the internet. There's much better things for you to do with your time. Us loyal truthsters, we're bought in for the long haul. We're actually interested in turning this whole fucking aircraft carrier around. So we're not just going to run for the exits and yank the ripcord after 5 minutes because, you know, the Deus Ex Machina didn't show up and magically fix everything so we can feel personally gratified. This is a fascinating thread. Redditors weighing in on the Somali fraud. Actually, let me go back and read this other one first. Kofafi Anon, Powerful Mutual. There are occasions when the egregore senses danger, and when that happens, the hive mind gets fully activated, looking for thought-terminating cliches to neutralize the threat. The Somali daycare situation is one of those. This is, like many other things, potentially fatal to a bunch of the underpinnings of the legitimacy of their entire enterprise. I have no idea how you pronounce this. Jeremy? Jeremy's thread dives into the Reddit reaction. Read it for some entertainment and to practice predicting their argument forms. Consider using the thread as a way to test your ability to spot the errors they have to make to defend their position. They build a mental scaffold that allows them to fit all observations into a framework that is harmless to their worldview, no matter how illogical the alleged connection, as long as there's a word association, good enough for them. Ugly McFugly says, God, this is going to be a new thing, isn't it? They're mad about childcare. They're going to convince MAGA not to trust daycare the same way they convince them not to trust doctors and scientists and reporters. More women staying home to breed, more men forced into the military to support their family, and the machine marches on. That's what it is. We hate daycare. I mean, this guy says, do yourself a favor and don't Google this Nick Shirley guy's name to see who he is. It's just going to end up showing you story after story from international right-wing propaganda sources, screaming about this story as if it's factual. It does indeed look to be their next big non-event that will nevertheless be used to try and distract people from Trump fucking children. Once again, if you are spending every day melting down about the Epstein list, these are your people. You're a fucking Redditor. You're no better than them. This is where you belong. You belong on Reddit with the fucking dysgenic they-thems. You are a product of bio-Leninism. To a normal American, Utah LDS Zoomer and Scandinavian American Boomer are two of the highest trust personae in modern life. To a Redditor, they are sketchy. Bulbhead daycare employees working behind blacked out windows with no kids, those guys are trustworthy. Chard Capable says, well, a few of them were one building with multiple daycares. It's pretty sketchy all around. I think it's fucking super weird to be going to daycares. But did we only see footage of what he wanted us to see to help his narrative? Or did he really go to 50 daycares in the middle of the day during the week? I don't know. I saw footage of like 50 daycares. And I'm not sure why he thought he could just walk into these places with a camera. Or at all. There has to be some kind of protection in place for these children, no? What children? There weren't any. Amazing Rando, why is it sketchy for multiple daycares to share a building? The only thing sketchy is this dude trying to prove a conspiracy by harassing childcare workers. That's what they were. They were childcare workers. I can't even figure out what kind of fraud they're being accused of. Fraud involving money? Damn it. Fraud involving money? Fraudulent activities involving children? Are they concerned about the safety of children? And if so, why are they creating a boogeyman out of daycare centers when it's well established that guns are the biggest threat to children? These are the people who didn't know what tariffs were. Odds are they don't know what fraud is either. There's some ill-founded conspiracy going around conservative circles that Somalis are defrauding Minnesota. And also all Muslims are defrauding state governments using daycares as a cover. Totally ill-founded, guys! They're encouraging others to look for fraud by identifying Muslim administrators and teachers and using that as proof of fraud because the idea of Muslims genuinely wanting to take care of children is unfathomable to them. This is also to distract from the fraud that's taking place right now at the federal level to the tune of billions of dollars, and to eventually justify rank-and-file conservatives to defraud non-conservatives as revenge. i.e. projection. Every system within capitalism will have some fraud. The idea that white people aren't also perpetuating it in the small percentage of those cases is fucking stupid. Oh, look, refried satanic panic. Couldn't even come up with something new. Hey man, they already used eating pets for the Haitians. They didn't have a lot of options left for the latest witch hunt. Pizzagate 2.0. I'm just waiting for when Pizzagate is going to come around again. Let's get a little, let's revisit the whole Pizzagate story. Many of them seem to believe that the conspiracy theory turns on Somalis being dangerous to children. This is probably true of the children's clitorises, but the daycare scandal is about there not being any children at all. They'll be amazed to discover the biggest danger to girls 12 and up is in the White House. Alice Hart, this is the best one of all. This is the best one. Well, with the orange pedo-in-chief murdering post-birth babies by throwing them in Lake Michigan, I don't think girls and boys 12 and under are safe either. What the fuck is happening? Is this the new Epstein lore? That Donald Trump was murdering post-birth babies by throwing them in Lake Michigan? How do you even arrive at that? I mean, I can't even. Was this an actual story that I missed? It sounds par for the course for the people who have made Epstein their entire life. This sounds like the sort of thing that they would come up with. Fake testimony added to the files in like 2017. Wait a second. You're telling me that there's fake shit in the Epstein files? I can't believe it. If only somebody had told us that the Epstein files were full of fake shit. Oh, thank you, Thomas Massey. You're such a hero. Hey, MAGA, leave those kids alone. Breaking, liberal pedophile freezes to death in Minnesota after camping outside a Somali daycare for 3 days waiting for a kid to come out. Oh, man. Yeah, don't touch that. It's a load-bearing delusion. Incredible. Look how angry you are. Latest leftist tactic. Claim that any criticism is a public meltdown, a freakout, an unhinged rant. So true. The Trump child fucking thing is one of the most interesting because there isn't even evidence of that, nor is it in Trump's character. It's another example of it must be true precisely because it cannot be demonstrated to be true. Oh, this is okay. Yeah. This right here. Most people use Twitter as a form of self-expression. Most people use Reddit as a form of self-repression. You can see them try to feel out which thoughts are okay to think. So true. Okay. John Carter said the preternaturally uncharismatic Somalis have given Trump an incredible gift. Moral cover to denaturalize Ilhan Omar, setting the precedent of denaturalizing and deporting subversive foreign infiltrators, even if they are elected federal representatives. Moral cover to denaturalize and deport the entire Somali community, setting the precedent that groups can be removed en masse without trying to untangle the rat's nest of exactly who did what specifically. Clear implication that Tim Walz knew about and facilitated the fraud, which delegitimizes the Democratic Party as they tried to make that corrupt clown vice president. Excuse to arrest Tim Walz, setting the precedent that governors can be arrested. Excuse to arrest senior state officials. Excuse to arrest senior municipal officials. Excuse to place Minnesota under a provisional military government, pending fair and free elections after the corruption has been excised, i.e., the Democrat machine has been completely dismantled. Making it all the more beautiful is that this happened in the state of Fentanyl Floyd. Speaking of which, Derek Chauvin was wrongfully convicted in the gangster state of Minnesota. Was that a fair trial? How corrupt were the officials who prosecuted and convicted him? Trump probably won't do any of this, but he absolutely should, not just because it would be very popular, and it would, but because it would set a whole bunch of precedents that would prove very useful in other states run by the Democrat mafia. Now, of course, having a Canadian commenting on American politics, you're not going to get a realistic. You're not going to get realistic commentary. Yes, all of this is absolutely on the table, potentially. But anybody who's thinking like this is going to happen next month, again, does not understand the nature of the system. If you're talking about installing a provisional military government in an American state, arresting the sitting governor and a bunch of senior state and municipal officials, and treating the Democrat Party as a crime syndicate, which is what it is, these are the sorts of things that can only happen after a long, sustained period of buildup and consolidation of power. This is not something that's going to happen within a single presidential term, much less between a general and a midterm election. It's just simply not possible to amass the sort of power and organized collective buy-in from the probably, if you're thinking about all the different investigators and military officials and military personnel and every other sort of person that would have to be involved in something like this, you're talking about having to have organized buy-in from probably several 100,000 people. And those several 100,000 people are going to be, among those several 100,000 people is going to be disproportionately represented the type of person who sees it as their existential life mission to prevent this sort of thing from happening. The sort of people who populate the majority of like the DOJ and local and state governments that have been completely taken over by the exact same sort of person that I was just reading excerpts from on Reddit. This is not a matter of political willpower. This is a matter of political organization. It doesn't matter how much willpower is there if you literally don't have the personnel to do something like this. So if you, commentator on the internet, who wants to see something like this happen, if you want to see something like this happen, you need to start working on it yourself. Are you a lawyer? Could you go get your law degree? Could you go facilitate someone else getting their degree? Or someone else who already practices law to start working on this? Could you go join the military? Could you run through all of the different organization, like the organizational depth chart that would be required to go put an American state under a provisional military government, to remove the existing government and install a new one, to conduct the election, to run propaganda for the whole thing? You realize that sort of thing doesn't just like spawn organically when you sufficiently yell loud enough on the internet. You have to actually do something. You need to get tens of thousands of people doing the same sort of thing. If you want the federal government to do something like this, they need the foot soldiers to do something like this. And those foot soldiers have to take a little bit more risk than just like saying naughty words on the internet. You need some skin in the game yourself. Let me drill down into this thread here. Okay, so yeah, this is a long one. All right, here we are. So Harmeet Dillon last night. There's a lot of people who are chimping out because they think they're special because they can do a little bit of simple math. And they're like, wait a second. January 6, 2021 was when the infamous J6 happened. And we're almost to January 6, 2026. And statute of limitations is 5 years. That means So everyone's chimping out about statute of limitations for January 6, 2021. She says, my goodness, are you people really going to make me put down my knitting and explain statutes of limitation to you? Okay, stuff happens January 6, 2021. This date is irrelevant to prosecuting conspiracy or other wrongdoing regarding weaponization, which is a general 5-year statute. The stuff happening on January 6th that date is completely irrelevant with respect to statutes of limitation. The January 6th committee in Congress forms in the summer. This is a relevant date. Statute of limitations mid-2026 potentially. Jack Smith, appointed over a year later as special counsel in November, statute runs on his obvious shenanigans late 2027. Democrats in Congress and those in the states colluding with the Biden White House to hide their behavior, some of which still hasn't come to light. Statute runs on this 5 years after their concealed behavior is known to the government. This means the statute could run into the next administration. I believe that we need a complete and total shutdown of right-wing influencers on the internet. Stop posting clickbaiting BS. You're being used. So this guy says, you don't seem to understand how pissed off we all are. We elected you to arrest politicians, judges, business execs, NGO execs, lawyers, nonprofit execs, and government employees for their blatant treason, sedition, racketeering, theft, fraud, crimes against humanity, murder, trafficking, pedophilia, and more. Wake the F up and understand the mandate from we the people. Oh, good. I'm glad you included the hey, you wake up gif. That really drives the point home. Thank you, Alan Natowski. Leaving aside the fact that you may have elected them to arrest a bunch of people. Sure. There's a lot of people who did not elect them to go arrest fucking politicians and judges. And if those people are not on board with the idea of arresting judges and politicians, then just launching into arresting judges and politicians could cause a real problem for them. Derek says this is actually an erudite diagnosis of why some people are mad. They wanted a random cohort of powerful people arrested, and they got political change instead. Woohoo! So true, Derek. So true. So this guy says, just curious what it would take for you to criticize this administration in a meaningful way. If we go 4 years with no real arrest, that's going to be a major black pill. And he says, what is a real arrest? And he said a household name equivalent to Bannon, or a shitload of district judges. And he says, on what crime are we meant to arrest a shitload of district judges? He says, start with the judges that are tossing out the Somalian cases. Insurrection Act. Start kicking down doors all over Minneapolis. Put Minnesota under federal control while the fraud is figured out. Call in the army and deport these leeches. Yeah, that all sounds great. I write letters to Santa Claus as well. Do you realize what this takes? In order to do this sort of shit, you need every single person who's yelling about it on Twitter to actually dedicate the rest of their life to prosecuting this issue. You think that you're going to get multi-trillion-dollar fraud schemes that crop up over the course of decades, and all you got to do is just cast a vote, and daddy's magically going to sail down and just start arresting people and fixing it all. This is like revolutionary LARPing. You think because you're you've read some stuff or like you figured out the political answers, now if you just like post about it enough, you're basically a revolutionary. You're basically George Washington. This guy says Insurrection Act might do it. The downside is that you now have a nationwide civil war bursting out into the streets. Hope you have enough of the U.S. military prepared and supporting us in sufficient numbers. Or you could follow Trump's strategy of slowly exposing and squeezing them. All these people were like, just deploy the military. Have you seen the type of people who comprise the majority of the military right now? Do you realize how badly it would backfire to take the majority of the current military and give them guns in the streets to go start patrolling around and putting places under lockdown. Do you realize how potentially awful that could be? It's going to take probably at least a couple of presidential terms of flushing out the federal bureaucracies and the military and cycling in new blood before this sort of thing is going to become, at the sort of scale people are demanding it, before that's going to become feasible. I'm not saying I don't want those things to happen. I'm saying I don't want these things done by the people who would presently be doing them. You're just begging for some sort of false flag. Derek said, honestly, the thing I most resent here is that uncovering a massive scandal has been transformed into a bad thing. People discover a massive scandal that confirms all their priors, and their first thought is, how is this Trump's fault? How can the admin do more? Really? Yeah, they're more angry at Trump than the governor who likely covered it up. He said, effective political operators see a massive Somali fraud ring, they get excited, and their first thought is, how do I use this to destroy my opponent's ability to achieve political outcomes? Ineffective political operators see such a scandal and treat it as a fire to put out. I was thinking about this tweet for a long time after I read it. This is an observation that may escape some people. But this opportunity, this scandal, is an opportunity. It's such a huge opportunity. Not for the high time preference, hyper emotional response to this is start fucking cracking skulls and deploy the military. Ah! That's exactly how you fumble this opportunity. If we're talking like real political operator shit here, this is the opportunity of a lifetime to utterly and completely squeeze the ever-loving life out of not just the Democrat Party, but all of their funders and backers as well. If this opportunity is capitalized on successfully, you will never know the names of the people who primarily funded and organized this. If you actually learn their names, that's probably a sign that things aren't going as well as they could. Ideally, you never learn their names, because they live the rest of their life with a gun to their head, metaphorically speaking. I mean, maybe literally speaking, but metaphorically speaking. No. You're going to stay right where you are. You're going to stay right where you are, and you're going to take your excellent skill set and your network and all of your resources, and you're going to use them to fund our shit. We own you now. And as long as nobody knows, you can't do anything about it. This is why you'll see the New York Times articles, the think pieces that are taking the person who's obviously like a totally corrupt criminal and framing them in a sympathetic light. Oh, this poor person. They will tell you what this person did so they can frame them as a victim. Oh, it wasn't his fault. He didn't do nothing. That's how you're burning that node. Ideally, the majority of these people, what they did, their responsibility in facilitating these sorts of fraud games never comes to light. And I know that's not particularly gratifying. But do you want to win? Or do you want revenge? If you want to win, then the big movers and shakers get flipped. Or they get, like, exiled. You're going to get a big golden parachute, and you're going to spend the rest of your life with an ankle bracelet on on the beach. And as long as you stay there on that beach and you read books and write your memoirs for the rest of your life, you'll be fine. We'll leave you alone. You get back into the politics game and we'll break your neck. Last tweet from Derek here. He says, what you have here is a story that has the potential to completely alter how people view immigrants. People have been inundated relentlessly with the idea that immigrants are simply good people who lack the means to navigate all of the red tape and were forced to cut some corners in order to achieve a morally good outcome. This story paints an entirely different picture of third world fraudsters coming to this country in order to steal American wealth. How many people get arrested for this simply doesn't matter. Morally, I'd obviously like to see all of them arrested, but if you don't see how changing that narrative is more important than any individual court case, then politics might not be your domain of most natural aptitude. Josh Ham, Patriot spotted. The zeitgeist is like bankruptcy, slow then all at once. Yeah, the narrative here, if you are, if your reaction to this is, why isn't the Trump administration doing more? You are fucking dropping the ball. This is not an opportunity to put pressure on the Trump administration. They've got fucking pressure already as it is. Where they may not be delivering, in your opinion, is not for lack of pressure. If they're not delivering, it's almost certainly because your expectations are completely FUBAR. You have zero idea what you're commenting on. You view politics like it's a fucking ABC TV show. Oh, in the TV show, all the guy did was he said, hey, get this done. And then they changed scenes and the thing was done. Why doesn't it work that way? You're TV show brained. The opportunity here is to completely and utterly permanently change the narrative about immigrants. And if you really want long-term, sustained, structural change, the only way that happens is through the continued consolidation of power by Trump and his successor. Everything flows downstream from that. So it follows naturally. If you want to see this prosecuted to the maximal possible extent, you want to see the Republicans take greater majorities in the midterms. You want to see J.D. Vance reelected with an even greater majority in 2028. You want to see J.D. Vance get an even greater majority in 2030. And you want to see J.D. Vance reelected again with an even greater majority in 2032. Get a couple of election cycles like that under our belt, and then we can start talking about some of this like comic book stuff that people are discussing. But this like all or nothing thing, like either they deploy the military and execute Tim Walz on the steps of the Minnesota Capitol and launch Ilhan Omar back to Somalia on an ICBM, or I'm just going to like go hit myself in the face with a hammer shit. Doesn't help anyone. Don't give me your like pro-natalist or like elite theory or like, oh, is my civilization or like, look what they took from us. You're wading around in a kiddie pool. You're pissing in the kiddie pool. Just fuck off. Nobody needs to hear from you. Haven't had a Charles Haywood appearance on here in a while. He said, while no doubt there's a lot to criticize about Bondi and Patel, inflicting needed political terror on the left to pay them back and deter them is actually very difficult. It requires voluntary, active participation by many links in a chain. This is exactly what I'm talking about. For example, in its vicious and unforgivable attacks on the heroes of the electoral justice protest, Biden thugs received continuous aggressive assistance from A, credit card companies, B, telephone companies, C, other merchants. D, local law enforcement. E, media companies. F, Capitol Hill law enforcement. G, low-level federal prosecutors, especially but not limited to Herod and lesbians. H, the FBI. I, local prosecutors. J, federal judges, high and low. And probably many more I could list. None of that assistance is granted to Trump. On the contrary, every single one of those people and entities does everything possible, including criminal acts, to frustrate any justice being meted out. Thus, replacing Bondi and Patel might help, but until the entire power of the state is used to smash our enemies and to coerce private entities into actively helping, not much is going to happen. At least until 2028 if we lose the presidency, whereupon a great deal will happen. To us. So, you read this, it might naturally follow that perhaps the people who should be on the receiving end of all the chimping might be the credit card companies, the telephone companies, the other merchants, the local law enforcement, the media companies, the Capitol Hill law enforcement, the low-level federal prosecutors, especially but not limited to Herod and lesbians, the FBI, local prosecutors, federal judges high and low, and probably many more. Perhaps chimping at them would help. Patriot Spotted, Camo Aquaticus, says, people want to treat the Trump administration as an established regime, when in reality it's a relatively small elite force that captured a cluster of key enemy strongholds and assets with the help of a disgruntled but disorganized populace. It's possible to build on that victory and defeat the old regime, but only by continuing to use special operations tactics. If Trump foolishly caved to the pressure of these online retards and went force on force with the old regime, it would result in either defeat or protracted conflict, crashing the global economy and further weakening us relative to our foreign adversaries. Whether they know it or not, the black pillars and doomers whining about Trump are acting as saboteurs. This right here. All the people saying, go Maximal, give me fireworks. You are a saboteur. You are a foot soldier of the enemy. And unfortunately, you're probably too stupid to realize it. Their function is to pry away as much of his base as possible to give the old regime a chance at a successful color revolution. The loudest voices among them, like Fuentes, are rapidly creating a situation where, regardless of who wins, the new regime will be incentivized to take them out back for the old Yeller treatment. You realize why? In the case of some sort of a rapid regime change, the loudest, most belligerent revolutionaries always wind up in the ground? This is why. It doesn't matter what's going on in your head, how dedicated you are, what sort of fantasies you have about living in an America of 100 million. If this is the way that you behave, if you are a liability, you're going in the ground, and that's where you belong.
The only acceptable political theory is complete undying loyalty to Donald Trump.
I'm just going to keep playing it over and over again. Honestly, it should make your life very easy. You don't have to concern yourself with all of this stuff. You can do it so that you can inform yourself to the extent that you could be useful in your own domain. You can figure out how to support the man. Or if that's all too much for you, if you got too much going on or whatever, then all you got to know is you vote in the midterms, force Republicans into a greater majority, and get everybody you know to do the same thing. That's it. That's all you got to do. And you can just go on with your life with the assurance that someone who cares is in charge. Politics as a hobby is really bad for the overwhelming majority of people. Han Pritchard says, if I ever have the opportunity to LARP as the painter, you can bet your ass Fuentes is not surviving past my night of the long knives. Nobody who smacks of disloyalty like that can. You want the most attainable we could possibly get to in America of 100 million, you better fall in lockstep behind the general that we have. Otherwise, you're working at cross purposes to your own stated goals. Another patriot, Lomez. There is no fix-it button hidden away in the underground tunnels of Washington, D.C. Here he is, talking to Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett. Look at those three patriots on my screen.
And sort of prudence with how we approach these issues. At the same time, I understand. I'm very sympathetic to the sense of urgency that people are bringing to these issues, because the truth is, it's not just that Republicans have been out of power for a long time and now they're in and there's this brief window. It's a particular kind of sort of America First, immigration restriction, nationalist sort of movement that has suddenly sort of taken its position and is in charge of what's going on in the Republican Party. And there is this sense, and I feel myself victim to this, for so long, this set of ideas have been on the outside of power, that you feel like, well, now is the window and you have like a year left to do something. And if you don't do it now, it's never going to happen. And you want to imagine that there's some big red button somewhere in Washington, D.C. And if Stephen Miller finds the right, tunnels to go through in the White House, he'll find the big red button that he can press.
Stephen Miller? Running around through tunnels? What did he mean by this?
And that will just fix everything. And I'm sensitive to the idea that, I wish that were also true. I wish for that fantasy to be the case. It's not. This is going to be a long process. This is going to be a multi-term and perhaps even multi-decade process to undo the years, the decades, the half century, if not more, of rot that sort of seeped into the federal government and the kind of takeover of the bureaucracies that's happened by liberal establishment. This slow, long march through the institutions was basically completed. Now we are at the very beginning stages, a year, if not less, into unwinding that entire process. And so, again, as hard as it is going to require long-term thinking. And that also means getting our personnel in place who can do this stuff.
Yeah, well said, Jonathan.
Long-term thinking? Well, that's not very emotionally gratifying. Like Slutty Milk said back here in the chat, he said, low time preference niggas when it's time to exercise low time preference. Right. Wait a minute. You mean we can't just save our civilization with the snap of a finger? It didn't just require me to just vote once and then it was all fixed? We actually have to dedicate our lives to restoring our civilization? Oh, I didn't sign up for that. No, I just want to post about how based I am. I want everybody else to be like, ooh, that guy's really based. I just wanted internet points. I can't just get my internet points and then we just magically have a wholesome, respectable, successful civilization. And I didn't even have to sweat or anything. Sorry, bro. It's going to take more than edgy posts. Here you go. Another campaign promise delivered on. From Kash Patel, December 26, shutting down the Hoover building. After more than 20 years of failed attempts, we finalized a plan to permanently close the FBI's Hoover headquarters and move the workforce into a safe, modern facility. Working directly with President Trump and Congress, we accomplished what no one else could. When we arrived, taxpayers were about to be on the hook for nearly $5 billion for a new headquarters that wouldn't open until 2035. We scrapped that plan. Instead, we selected the already existing Reagan building, saving billions and allowing the transition to begin immediately with required safety and infrastructure upgrades already underway. Once complete, most of the HQ FBI workforce will move in, and the rest are continuing in our ongoing push to put more manpower in the field where they will remain. This decision puts resources where they belong, defending the homeland, crushing violent crime, and protecting national security. It delivers better tools for today's FBI workforce at a fraction of the cost. The Hoover building will be shut down permanently. And I suspect that a big part of this is about bugs and bugs and who knows how many different tunnels and other sorts of secret rooms and who knows what is in that building. Remember, when Kash Patel first took his office, he removed a huge number. Thank you, Pale Morning Dude, for the kicks. Kash Patel removed a huge number of FBI personnel and basically sent them out into the wilderness in career terms. Also, I saw something this week that you guys correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't see the original. I saw the original source for this, but didn't look at it closely enough. Then I saw other people talking about it. But is it true that there's been a 20% reduction in the murder rate in the country this year? I mean, it makes sense, given how doggedly the FBI has been pursuing a bunch of these crime rings. Yeah, Pale Morning Dude says yes. Logan says yes. Yeah. A 20% reduction in the murder rate. Maybe that's because they prioritized arresting and deporting all of the most violent illegal immigrants first. Interesting. 20% reduction in the murder rate. And yet the FBI isn't doing anything because they didn't give you your story about Trump throwing a newly born baby in Lake Michigan or something. If only the FBI had been focused on the real things that count, not saving American lives, giving me libtard fan fiction to fap to. Plus the FBI hitting cities hard in general for crime and then the National Guard, of course. Yeah. Huh. Weird. It's almost like they've been doing lots of things, but nobody talks about it. I'm doing what I can, man. Shouting from my little corner in the internet. Share the show, folks. Got a couple more things here. Let's finish on a bright note. And a reminder for those who may have showed up late that you guys blew out my tip goal for this month. I'm giving you an opportunity, if you want to have an opportunity to get a 1-year free subscription in the King Pill Discord. Then between tonight's stream and tomorrow, if you can get to 5,200 on the tip goal up there, we're at 4,801 right now. If we can get to 5,200 by the end of tomorrow's show, the last show of 2025, then I will give away random drawing. We'll do a random drawing and give away a free 1-year subscription, peasant tier subscription to the King Pill Discord. Those of you who are in the chat right now, who are in the King Pill Discord, you can tell me if you think that's worthwhile or not. I will be doing let's see, how could I do this? I'm planning on doing another voice chat in the Discord on Wednesday night, New Year's Eve, for anybody who wants to show up for that. So maybe I will do the drawing. Well, we'll see. I'll try to figure out a way to do the drawing so that the lucky new person will get the opportunity to join us for that. But yeah, I'll try to figure out. We'll see if we hit the goal. If we hit the goal, I'll figure out a way to do it. Tips.kingpill.com. All right. So here is Scott Adams talking about all the things that had to go right for us to get to where we are so far. Uncle Scott just makes me happy to watch him and listen to him. Here we go.
So think about all the things that had to happen for me to understand our current situation in the world. All right. If any of the following things had not happened, I would be so lost, and so would you. Let me give you an example. How confused would you be if you had not learned that the news is fake? Have you ever talked to somebody who thinks news is real and it just feels like they're from the past? Really? Really? You think the news is real?
What do you know?
Oh, no. You think that the news on one side is real. Sorry. If you don't understand that the news is, and maybe always has been, fake, you would be very confused about what you're seeing, right? So that's number one. And I would say that Trump was the biggest reason that we understand the news to be fake. Not only did he tell us, but we could watch through his experience how often there were hoaxes in the news. And you can really learn, oh my God, the news is not even real. That's number one. How confused and lost would we be if Elon Musk had not purchased Twitter and turned it into X? Because I get most of my knowledge from X. If I had to depend on everything else, literally everything else, I wouldn't know what's going on.
You can tell Scott. I don't know if it's his medications or what, but it's looking like maybe part of his mouth is not cooperating or something. He's starting to slur a little bit more. Pray for Unc Adams, boys.
Now, it might be in a bubble, so I have to watch out for the bubble problem. But without X, there's so much context that I'd be missing. Now, what would have happened if Trump had not won the election? If Trump had not won the election, I think the X would have been destroyed. I think that people would still think the news was real. They would trust their elections were not rigged, and they would have an entirely different view of what's real and what's not. And Trump just barely won. Well, he would say he won by a lot. But if you consider the allegations of rigging, I don't know if it's real, but the reporting is that there was some Serbian data center that had to be taken offline just in time, where Trump would have won. Now, I don't know if that's true, but it does suggest that if it was, we were very close to losing everything, and then we would again not know what was going on because we would be in the dark. What would happen if Doge had never happened? And I'll add Mike Benz to this point. What would happen if there had never been a Mike Benz and there'd never been a Doge? Would you understand how the NGOs and the USAID stuff were distorting everything we knew and everything we were doing? I didn't know about any of that stuff. And what are the odds, that you would be born in a time when both of these things would happen, Doge and Mike Benz?
And that's the thing that it's funny how often I'll hear that like Doge was a failure, Doge didn't accomplish anything. If anything, I think Doge was one of the greatest accomplishments of Trump's first year, was the implementation of Doge and its distribution throughout the federal government. Even without that, them sending out their strike teams into every agency that report back to Russ Vogt. Even without that, even if all Doge was just an initial insurgency operation to kickstart the whole NGO thing, to amplify all of that and lay the groundwork for what was built on the tail of that, Doge would be like one of the greatest single operations by an incoming president that I've ever seen.
We were very close to never understanding what was really happening, but now we're getting close. What about
and also with Benz as well? I understand the frame game thing. I know people are very skeptical of him, and I have my reasons to be skeptical as well. However, you cannot deny, even if, like, oh, he doesn't talk about this one thing. Sure, great. He talks about everything else. I think that I don't think that he's just a freelancer. I don't think that he's just out, just kind of doing this for funsies and other people are picking it up. I think he was sent out as basically like advanced. It's not recon necessarily. I mean, he kind of is doing recon, but he was like laying the groundwork. Like the whole Doge thing and USAID and all of that wouldn't have hit in quite the same way if it wasn't for Benz already having that established platform and getting some of those memes into the zeitgeist, and then he and Data Republican and some of the others capitalizing on that. So I think Benz was, I don't know who to attribute it to, but I think Benz was coordinating with someone backing Trump or in Trump's camp to lay the groundwork for some of this stuff in advance.
The rise of independent media. Do you think we would know anything except for the rise in independent media, which mostly you get to see on X? Nope. Because corporate media will always have a limit on what they can do. If they take advertisement for their business model, there's going to be entire domains where you can't trust what they say. And the only way that you would know what's happening is if an independent media grew up, and that only was possible recently, and mostly because of X.
I will add that the other side of the coin with the independent media is the fact that a lot of the independent media is dependent on the fact that they're retards, and media itself is almost like it is its own industry with its own methodologies and its own techniques and its own pacing and all of that sort of thing that many of them have just sort of embodied themselves. Now the independent media engages in the fake news thing almost as bad as the regular media, and sometimes the fake news from them is almost worse because you're like, oh, but it's the independent media. They have no motivation to lie to me or whatever. I can trust the independent media when in many cases they're almost worse. The whole breaking slop thing is a consequence of the independent media. So it's kind of it's a sword that cuts both directions.
In order for me to understand what's going on and then to try to tell you, I had to use Grok to summarize Mike Benton's posts, because his posts are very detailed, and it's hard to watch 4 hours of content. And even though he summarizes it and he gets clipped, it's a lot. And so even this morning, and really it feels like every morning, there'll be some big complicated story about what's wrong with the world. And I'll say, Grok, summarize this. And if Grok did not exist, I'm not sure I'd be able to totally follow everything that Mike Benton says that puts things in context. So you have to be lucky that Elon Musk made Grok.
Every time that I see someone say that, oh, Grok lies to you, it's like Grok lies or Grok hallucinates is like the midwit. It's like a midwit response to, yeah, it's a tool. Like sometimes the tool works, sometimes it doesn't. You've got to be smarter than the tool. It's pretty easy to have Grok tell you something and then just kind of double check it. If anything, it gives you the context with which to double check it, or it provides the sources. If you're looking at Grok, when I see someone that's like, oh, Grok, it lies to me, I'm like, you're the fucking sucker. You're the one who thought you were getting like the Oracle of Truth or something. I'm not comparing Grok to the Oracle of Truth. I'm comparing Grok to Google. And Grok is so much better than a Google search. Now, so the people who are like, oh, Grok lied to me, they're like the people who Google something and then they just like click on the first result and they're like, oh, that wasn't true. Google sucks. You just have to know how to use the tool. Yes, like, look, so many people don't know how to use LLMs properly. That is a skill in and of itself. Prompt engineering is itself a skill. It's like a modern form of coding. It's a coding language. You have to know how to prompt it, how to ask it questions, and then how to ask follow-ups, how to tailor the question so you get the right thing you want. And many times it's just a matter of saying, give me, like, don't give me this sort of default answer, or when you answer, account for the fact that there may be this easy answer, but I don't want that, I want this. It's literally just a matter of doing a little extra. So when I see people that complain to me about, oh, the large language model lied to me, I'm like, you're revealing that you are the sucker here.
How would you have ever understood what a color revolution was, and the fact that the people who were doing it to successfully overthrow other countries had very clearly used those tools against us? How would you know that? Without X, without Doge, without Mike Benz?
I think Mike Benz is probably single-handedly responsible for the popularization of the notion of a color revolution. It was in the news, people had heard of it and talked about it, but like having that be a meme that actually sticks with people can probably be traced directly to Mike Benz.
Very specific things had to happen at the same time for us even to understand that that's the world we were living in. How would you have ever known that let's call it the censorship industrial complex, had found a way to use the international tools and also to partner with Europe mostly to censor people in the United States? That's something we only just recently learned. So think about how sensitive the world was to all of those factors. And if any one of those had not happened, would we have already lost free speech? Would the censorship and the colored revolution already made it impossible to have a democracy and never get a real Republican elected? We were this close to losing everything. And it almost seems like magic that all the right things happened at the same time. Right? It's very unlikely that all of those things would happen at the same time, but they did. They did. Kind of amazing.
So true, Uncle Scott. Appreciate you, man. Slutty Milk says, like, I can't explain what I mean by using it properly, but I just intuitively understood it and how to use it to do what I want. I grokked it, no pun intended. Yeah, right. Like, nobody taught me how to prompt it. I just used it enough and kind of figured out its tendencies and its habits and like I could sort of reverse engineer how it's getting to the thing that it's getting to that it's giving to me, and then just reverse engineered it and said, okay, so if this is how you're going about getting your information and this is the way you're going to lay it out to me, well, then when you give me information, go about it this way and lay it out to me this way. And then I know the things to look for to say, okay, well, here's something where it might be bullshitting me, and I'll go look for that. And then there's plenty of stuff that it will provide you that is not like bullshitting at all, where it's tremendously useful, like troubleshooting a problem, troubleshooting some sort of a technological issue or something like that. It's just extraordinarily helpful. It has saved days worth of time for me troubleshooting things, or another fun thing is to use it to like run through hypotheticals of complex systems or something like that, where you could go figure all this stuff out yourself. You could go look at each individual element of the system and kind of track it and game it out and everything. Or you could just be like, hey, run this simulation for me. And I know that whatever gets spit out is not going to be like the perfect, it's not a derivation from the Oracle of Truth, but it's a useful, fun exercise that wouldn't be possible otherwise. Trust Plansar says Grok can at least send you to a source that you can confirm or deny. Not sure ChatGPT can send you links. Yeah, I'd have to have someone else confirm that. I stopped using ChatGPT after I started using Grok. Okay, last two things real quick here. First one, the only valid way to criticize anything is by creating an alternative to it. Criticize by creating. Anyone can point out flaws and problems, but true change makers offer solutions. Criticize by creating. It's easy to see what's wrong with the world. Everyone can do that. But sitting around complaining doesn't change anything. If something bothers you, go build something better. The people who actually move the world forward are too busy building to waste time pointing fingers. I would add to this that the people who actually move the world forward know when and where and how and why and at whom to point fingers. And when they point those fingers, it's much more productive and useful. Those of you who have been around for a while know of the term the Gunic. We talked about the Gunics, and I was thinking the other day that this is actually kind of the thing we were talking about with the Gunics, the like nihilism and you can't do anything, you just got to sit around and wait for daddy to come home and fix it all. Until then, you should just like stew in your nihilism and be angry at everyone for breaking the society you used to live in. That has really proliferated into the whole dooming panicking thing. It's the Gunic mindset, which was a neologism that Cooper and I came up with, combining Gooner and eunuch. Because it's this weird thing where you've got someone who has the personality of a Gooner, but they're also a eunuch. They're literally infertile. They're like spiritually infertile. And maybe it's from gooning too much. You goon so much that you become infertile. But there's this particular type of guy, and it really overlaps with the whole like the vitalism and the Nietzschean sort of influence within the right, so-called right, yeah, this is what I've been talking about this whole episode. If you're unhappy or you're dissatisfied with how something is being done, it doesn't cost you anything. to just go about it. But it doesn't really fix anything either. There's an extraordinary opportunity right now for people at all different levels of society to actually get in the business of creating things. Creating physically, socially, spiritually, digitally. There's all sorts of creation that can be done. The administration is literally doing everything they can to make it safe and optimal to create things that are made in America. So start making something in America. Make something and direct whatever return you get from making that. I'm having to speak in broad terms here because I don't just mean like start a company or invent something. Like that falls under the category of making things. Making things could also be about making a neighborhood watch, or making a friend, or making a other type of social connection, adopting a boomer. It could be making a child. It could be making an investment, a financial investment. Whatever thing you are making, whatever thing you're creating, whatever thing you are generating, you can generate that thing. It's going to generate a return to you in some form, whether it's social credit or respect or money or opportunities or networks or whatever. Make something, plan for what sort of return you're going to get, be prepared to get some sort of return you didn't expect to get, and have an idea for how you're going to transmute that return into something to advance the cause. If we had all the people who are angry about stuff posting on the internet about it, if we took all of that energy and all of that focus, and each one of them in their own domain went and made something new each day, and didn't just make that thing new, but they made that thing, didn't just make that new thing, but they made that new thing and then oriented it toward the broader cause of building our civilization, we could accomplish a lot in a relatively short period of time. And there's an opportunity cost to people not doing that. The longer we go of people not doing that, the longer we're going to have to wait to get the returns. The longer you go without having a kid, the less of your life you're going to spend with your kid, by definition. So the longer you go without doing the creative pro-civilizational behavior, the longer we're going to go without having a civilization. A man who has put his money where his mouth is. Mr. Mike Rowe. Another Christmas Carol. Last week, I received a phone call from a woman who wanted to know if my foundation was set up to receive donations in the form of stock. When I told her that we were, she told me that her boss wanted to make a year-end donation. That's great, I said. What's your boss's name? She would prefer to remain anonymous. No problem, I said. How much would she like to give? $1 million. 5 seconds later. I'm sorry, how much? $1 million, she said, of highly appreciated stock. Another 5 seconds later. Hello? Are you still there? Yes, I said, I'm still here. You have a very generous boss. Would it be possible to thank her personally? I'm afraid not, she said. Her privacy is very important and her time is valuable. I promise to respect both, I said. It's just that no one has ever given me $1 million before, and I'd really like to say thanks. Just a quick phone call would be fine. Let me see what I can do, she said. In the meantime, where do I send the stock? I told her, and the next day, $1 million of highly appreciated stock arrived in the Mike Rowe Works brokerage account. And the day after that, Christmas Eve, I received an email with a link to join a Zoom call at exactly 11:55 a.m. to meet my anonymous benefactor, a woman I'll call Carol. I clicked the link at exactly 11:55, and Carol appeared on my computer screen. She had me on mute because she was talking to someone else on her cell phone. It looked urgent. A minute later, she hung up and took me off mute. Sorry, she said. Crazy morning. Hey, you clean up pretty good. Thanks, I said. It's my second shower of the day. Carol's phone rang again, but she ignored it. Thanks for making the time, I said. I know you're busy. Busy doesn't come close to what I am, said Carol. I've got a board meeting in 5 minutes, a house full of cranky relatives, and a helicopter waiting for me on the roof. With respect, I said, who schedules a board meeting on Christmas Eve? My husband just asked me the same thing. In the immortal words of Robert Plant, I'm afraid the answer is nobody's fault but mine. Actually, I said, those words came from Blind Willie Johnson. He wrote Nobody's Fault But Mine almost 100 years ago. Led Zeppelin borrowed it in 1976 and put it on an album called Presents. You can listen to Blind Willie's version on YouTube. I'm not sure which is better. I'll be sure to work that into my holiday playlist, said Carol, glancing at her watch. Now, what can I do for you? You've already done it. I just wanted to tell you how I'm going to spend your money. I already know how you're going to spend it, she said. You're going to give it to qualified applicants who want to learn a skilled trade. Hopefully the electric trade. My company could hire 50 electricians right now and 50 more in Q2. We just can't find them. I know, I said. I hear the same thing every day. Our goal is to award $10 million in trade school scholarships next year, and your donation has got us off to a terrific start. Happy to help, said Carol. And by the way, my kids and I love Dirtiest Jobs. Do you think you'll do more? Not unless it's animated, I said. I don't bend as easily as I used to. Carol laughed. I feel your pain, she said. Anything else? Well, at the risk of correcting you twice in one call, the show was called Dirty Jobs, not Dirtiest Jobs. Really? Are you sure? Pretty sure, I said. I did 350 of them. That's so strange, she said. I could have sworn it was Dirtiest Jobs. It's a common mistake, I said. TV has trained us to expect the extreme version of whatever it is we're watching. It's not Home Makeover, it's Extreme Home Makeover. It's not America's funny home videos, it's America's funniest home videos. It's not Deadly Catch, it's Deadliest Catch. See what I mean? Everything is always oversold. But don't you narrate Deadliest Catch, Carol asked. For the last 22 years, I said. But I didn't name that show. If I did, I would have called it Deadly Catch. Not as sensational, but more honest. It goes to managing expectations. Okay, said Carol, but tell me this. If Dirty Jobs had been called Dirtiest Jobs, and there was only one episode, which jobs would you put on it? Aren't you late for a board meeting, I asked. They could start without me, she said. I proceeded to tell Carol in great detail about my top 3 dirtiest jobs, and was deeply flattered to see her spit out a mouthful of coffee during my explanation of castrating sheep with my teeth. I was equally delighted when she guffawed during my description of semen gathering from a prized bull, and very pleased when she gagged during my recollection of dog paddling through several tons of diarrhea while replacing a ruptured lift pump in a wastewater treatment plant. When we finally hung up, Carol was a half hour late for her board meeting, which I took as a personal victory. When she invited me to stay in touch, I assured her that I would. And the next morning, as I sat by the Christmas tree sipping eggnog, counting my blessings, and listening to Blind Willie Johnson sing Nobody's Fault But Mine, I couldn't help but wonder if Carol was doing the same. I like to think she was. Mike. P.S. Mike Rowe Works has always relied on the generosity of ordinary Americans who contribute modest amounts whenever they are able. That will always be the case. However, there is no denying the fact that lots of people this year are reducing their taxes in fairly dramatic fashion by donating highly appreciated stock to their favorite charities. This is most often accomplished through a donor-advised fund, which anyone who takes charitable giving seriously should have. It doesn't matter if you're rich. If you want to dramatically reduce your tax bill with charitable donations, a DAF is the best way to do it, especially if you want to donate appreciated assets like stock, art, real estate, etc. By donating appreciated stock instead of cash, Carol not only reduced her taxable income by 30%, she completely eliminated the capital gain tax she would have paid had she sold the stock. Bottom line, a big chunk of the money she would have paid in taxes went instead to her favorite charities, one of which, happily, was Mike Rowe Works. May her example resonate from sea to shining sea. And then he also says the rules surrounding DAFs are changing this year and not for the better. If you're thinking of setting one up, you still have a few days. It's worth doing. Here's a primer with a link. And then he said, I read somewhere that 50% of all charitable giving happens in December, and 30% of that happens in the last 3 days. With that in mind, any amount is most appreciated at Mike Rowe Works. In the immortal words of Tiny Tim, God bless us, everyone. Patriot Mike Rowe. Wanted to round it off on a positive, uplifting note. And if you are thinking of donating to someone, My wife says, if anyone is looking for a place to donate, please make my life as church treasurer more interesting and feel free to donate to our parish. I'll light a candle or two for you. If you would like to donate to our church, our little mission parish, then just hit me up, shoot me a DM at KingPilled on X, or you can, I don't know, send me an email, realkingpilled@gmail.com, and I'll get you in touch with my wife, the treasurer at our parish, and you can do that. All right, guys. Well, that is all that I have for you. What's up? I'm Like a Bird. I see you just followed, and we're commenting. It says, watch Hidden America videos on YouTube about incel psyop. Doing nothing is the psyop. Oh, indeed. Okay, hold on. Let me just make a bookmark of this. Is that what it's called? Hidden America? Oh, yeah, there it is. Interesting. Well, thank you for the tip. I will check that out. Thank you to the rest of you as well. Oh, yeah, say a prayer for Eastwood tomorrow. He's got to go to the dentist early in the morning. So say a prayer for the little man. And go join the King Pill Discord, kingpill.com. Christopher Lee, Christmas Medal. I've got that tab opened as well. Thank you, Emperor Atreides. Yeah, I don't have anything else. So go join the King Pill Discord. Follow me on Twitter at KingPilled. You can send in a tip, tips.kingpill.com, and I will read it on the next show. And go follow the Rumble channel as well. Help me grow the Rumble footprint. And I will catch you guys here tomorrow for another episode of the Astrolabe. Until then, I leave you with Hulk.
When they took a shot at my hero, and they tried to kill the next president of the United States, enough was enough. And I said, let Trumpomania run wild, brother. Let Trumpomania rule again. Let Trumpomania make America